What's up, everyone? Welcome back to BRAP. Hey, happy holidays, everyone. I can't believe that this year we basically have a week left of 2022. I can't believe how quickly 2022 is come and gone. It's just gone by so fast. It's crazy. And to think that, in about 2 months we'll be entering 3 years since the pandemic hit in 2020. And 2020, I just can't believe it's been 3 years. I remember, I remember 2019 going to 2020. No one thought that we would have this global pandemic and the world would change dramatically as we know it. And but to think that it's going to be 3 years coming up the next 2 months or so is just actually technically it's been 3 years already. We think about COVID first being reported in late November of 2019, actually, hence COVID-19. So it's already been 3 years. But I would say 3 years here in the U.S. where, where we kind of went through lockdown, everything like that. But anyhow, look, it's the holidays. It's a special holiday show. We're gonna do a giveaway to someone in the live chat. It's gonna be a gift card of either a PlayStation Network card, gift card, or Xbox gift card, digital card. You can use that for, purchase of a game, whatever it is you choose to do. Maybe you want to use it to buy Fortnite credits or something. I don't know. But we're going to be doing that later on the show. But definitely got a lot to talk about. The rest of the BRAP panel will be joining me here shortly. So it's just me right now, solo. So you have to deal with me for right now. But give me a second here. Let me do something real quick. All right. So, we've got a couple, it's Merry Christmas to you, Ryan Landis. Merry Christmas to you, Captain Ply, Jay the Destroyers. Hello. Do me a favor, everyone. I'm going to drop there you go. I'm going to drop the link in the live chat. Please do me a favor and retweet the link or, put the tweet, or not the tweet, put the link, I should say. Put the link on to your favorite social media platform. Let everyone know that we're live right now. The BRAP's live, so appreciate it. But yeah, with 2022 wrapping up, we're going to talk about some of the best games of 2022, just in terms of performance. GameIndustry.biz actually put out a really great article on the year in numbers for 2022, and it's actually they put together this great infographic, and actually I'm going to put this in the live chat too if anyone was interested in checking out this article. Very interested. Hey, what's up, Pred? Great to see you, Pred, in the live chat. Yeah, Eli might ban you. Yeah, what's going on with Elon Musk, by the way? Interesting. He's out there. I got to say his behavior for what I would anticipate or how I would anticipate someone who's a CEO to behave is just, yeah. I mean, he is out there. I mean, he put out a poll asking people to, he's just turning into Ted Faro. Jeez. I probably don't disagree with you, Sano.com. But I mean, he put out that poll where he asked people if they wanted him to, yes, God help us all. He put out that tweet, that poll, do people want to see him stay or leave? And majority of the people, he's in his own world, Ryan. Majority of the people left or voted that he should leave Twitter. And he actually just said that he in fact would step down as CEO. He's in the optics of Congress now, or the U.S. government. I should say with the optics. He's caught the attention of the U.S. government. Elizabeth Warren actually tweeted. I don't know if it was a tweet, but she put something out there asking about what Elon's going to do with Twitter and things like that. So. Yeah, ego must. I would not disagree with that characterization of Elon. He's just very, very odd. I wouldn't expect the CEO to behave that way. It's really, in my opinion, not becoming. But he's almost like a character, if you will. It's just really odd, weird to me. And he said as soon as he can find a CEO that's crazy enough to run Twitter, then he'll do that. But I don't know. The whole thing's really odd to me and just weird. I don't understand how people kind of treat this guy. I don't want to say worship, but I mean, people kind of hang their hats on this guy and everything he says, and just I don't get that. I don't get that at all. So so let's see here. Did I drop this? Oh, hold on a sec. Yeah, so there's the link. The link right there in the. I just dropped it in live chat for that article. Game I can never pronounce this. GameIndustry.biz presents the year in numbers 2022. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit, and also look. And I talked about this, I think, a little bit on the last BRAP rant. Talked about this on Crossfire a little bit on Friday, this past Friday, and look, I don't think Xbox had a great 2022 in terms of gaming content. Now, I know people are going to point to the success of High on Life, which, look, I mean, congratulations to the developer. This game is just doing, I mean, very well. It's the biggest third-party launch on Game Pass, and it's it's doing it's driving a lot of engagement right now. So that's great for that game and for those for the developer. But I just think that Microsoft still has a production pipeline issue. They're going into year year 2 now of the actually year 3, I believe, of the console generation, and still Starfield got delayed. That was supposed to be their big release, big tentpole. They just haven't had many of those games. Look, and I was saying that the Pentiments and the High on Lives are bad are bad releases. They shouldn't have released those types of games. I think having a well-rounded out portfolio of games to offer, I think that's important too. I mean, I think that's the one thing that in my gaming experience over the last 40-something years, the platforms that nail the AAA, the smaller budget titles that can offer quality, and I know quality is subjective, I get that, but can offer like the games that I like at a high level in terms of quality, entertainment that I like. I mean, whether it's AAA or AA, having that, those types of games complement one another within an ecosystem are things that I think are very important for a console platform, and I just don't see that with Xbox right now. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about how Microsoft Xbox needs to have a good 2023, because I do think, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on, I do think they did miss the boat on the Game Awards. I think I may have commented on that last week. I don't remember because I'm old, but anyhow, then we're going to talk about the new DualSense Edge, how the battery life is worse than the DualSense, and that has some people very upset on the Twitters, and I'll talk about that. And as I mentioned, we'll talk about the games of 2022, more specific, the infographic that Game Industry Biz put together. So give me just a second here. All right, so Senator comes. I use battery banks and connect my controller. It's so easy. I know. I hear you. I mean, I don't disagree. We'll talk about that in a second. I was thinking, guys. I finally beat God of War Ragnarok, and I'm not. Look, I am not a trophy hunter. It's not what I do. I typically beat a game. Yeah, I collect trophies on the way as I play and progress. But I'm not somebody who's going to go back and you can maybe complete a side mission or do certain things to earn certain trophies. I just want to enjoy the game and beat it and just move on to the next great thing. So, no, I'm not going back, Sanu.com. So here's what happened. So I beat God of War Ragnarok, and then I noticed my trophy count. I'm like, wait a minute, like I'm kind of close to a platinum here, and it's actually fairly easy platinum. That God of War Ragnarok is like you play the game, you can pretty much collect certain things, in the game. They're just kind of there for you to collect. As you're playing the main story, like it's not something you necessarily don't have to go off the beaten path. Some things you do. Like with Odin's Ravens, you have to do that. But it makes like some of the artifacts and things like that. But I went back and I completed I got all the artifacts, got all the killed all the Odin's Ravens, and got the platinum. And I got to say that game, even though it wasn't my game of the year, that went to Elden Ring. And we talked about that. I'm sorry, hold on a sec here. Slow-mo just DM me. All right, sorry about that. Slow-mo's actually not going to make it tonight, so he just DM'd me. All right, but yeah, so I got to say that I really enjoyed God of War Ragnarok. Great game. What an epic story. I mean, just great storytelling. This great dynamic between Atreus and Kratos. Part of the challenge that I have after playing a kind of a game like that has some kind of maybe emotional impact. And when I put down the controller, I'm like, wow, what an epic story, what an epic adventure. Part of the trouble that I have is, what do I play next? And so I'm kind of in that rut right now where I don't know what I should play next. Like I'm playing, I'm planning on back to Fortnite, but I caught myself playing Batman Arkham City. Let me try that again. And then I was thinking, so Saynu.com actually read my mind. What's up, Captain Crunch? Play Returnal. So I was thinking about going back and playing Returnal. Now, here's my thing with Returnal though. Like, do I go back? Because Returnal's coming to PC, and as you know, I'm a firm believer that PC is the best gaming platform, in my opinion. And I think it's 32 gigabytes of RAM though. Well, Sergeant, I am good in that. I'm good there with 32 gigs of RAM. I'm good. Yeah, Bulbar, I saw the recommended specs, but I'm good. I mean, I've got the hardware to play that game, so I'm okay with it. If I didn't, I'd probably go back to PS5 and play it. But I will say this: I don't like. So I'm not sure if I should go back and just play it now on PS5 because I have it for the PS5. And I forget what biome I'm in. I might be in the third or fourth biome. So it's like, do I go and play the PS5 version and just, just go back to where I left off, or do I start from scratch again and play the PC version? And I wonder, do I want to play the PC version? Because obviously I want the best performance potentially, and that could be on the on the PC. So yeah, so that's my dilemma with that game. But I am trying to figure out though in the meantime, like, what am I going to go play? And actually, I did pick up Miles Morales and started playing that again. I'm almost about to beat that game. I've been putting that game off for a long time. Boycott Activision. PC is not a gaming platform. PC. You're right. PC is not a gaming platform. It is the gaming platform. Falky, I would play Returnal with DualSense. Borbor, I don't think we can defile the game on PC. We don't know how it hopefully the game is optimized well for PC. That's that the port's actually done well. Boycott Activision. You are a hater, sir. PC is a gaming platform. I don't know what to tell you. You're talking crazy now. All right, give me a sec here. All right, so that's where I'm at right now. I'm just trying to figure out what to play. But, Returnal's probably going to... yeah, Faulkner, I might be ready. I might be solo this show. I don't know where Hamp is. Hamp's MIA. Hamp may have actually passed out, by the way. That man does not sleep. Slow-mo's actually out tonight. He's him and his family a little under the weather. But I don't know where. I'm not sure if B Money's going to make it or if Gaming Forte is going to make it. But that's okay. If I'm solo, I'm solo. So be it. I'll pour some whiskey and hang out with everyone here in the live chat. So, yeah. So I'm just trying to figure out. Just trying to figure out like what's next on the docket for me in terms of gaming. We got Rodimus with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Rodimus. I appreciate that, sir. It says happy holidays, my friend, and cheers to civil discourse, and many more next year. Happy holidays to you, Rodimus, as well. And yes, cheers to civil discord. Appreciate you, and hope you and yours have a great holiday as well. No, I'm not playing Animal Crossing with slow-mo. I'm not doing that. Just not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. All right, so let me give me a sec here. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm not going to play Animal Crossing. Not that I have anything against Animal Crossing, just it's not my cup of tea. It's not something I'm interested in. So, talk about the list of amazing games coming in 2023. Yeah, there are some really good games coming in 2023. Right now, actually, let's talk about that real quick. And that actually, let me pull up. All right, so we got a couple. I mean, there's some big titles dropping early 2023. You have Forspoken. Now, I didn't play the demo yet. I did download it. I didn't play it. I think Slow-Mo had talked about it. And I guess from what I read and what I listened to from people, I got mixed reviews on it, thoughts on the game. Some people liked it and others did not. Some people didn't really care for the dialogue between the main protagonist and I guess her bracelet, I think it is. Some didn't like the traversal of the combat, others did. So I'm not sure. I'm on the fence of Forspoken. It's one of those games where I'm gonna wait and kind of see what the reviews, what they say about it. and just take it from there. Make a decision on whether I buy it then, just after reading the review. So we'll see. But I want to introduce David Faulkner, or Falky as we call him. David, what's up, man? Thanks for joining.
There you go. Couldn't let you do it all on your own. Too many good topics to talk about.
Exactly. No, I appreciate that, man. I really do. I don't know. I did mention Slow-Mo. He can't make it tonight. I don't know where Hamp is. Usually he's here by now. Hopefully he's okay. But I know.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And I know he doesn't sleep a lot. So I'm wondering if maybe he fell asleep.
Maybe.
But
I'm just going to jump out and jump back in. My audio is a bit rubbish.
Okay, that's fine, man. All right, so early 2023. I mean, we got Forspoken. We have Dead Space remake, and I got to say, I am hyped for Dead Space, the remake. I think it looks great. It's Dead Space. But I'm definitely looking forward to Dead Space. Now, January is going to be where we have Forspoken, Dead Space. There's the Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. I'm not interested in that. I've played Age of Empires 2 many, many years ago when that came out. Persona 4 Golden's coming out to PC, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and Switch. That's January 19th. Then a Persona 3 Portable. Golden's actually a solid game. I would encourage anyone who's interested in the Persona games or like Persona 5, but didn't play Persona 4. I would say definitely check that out. But there's some other games there. Fire Emblem Engage is January 20th. That has my interest. But for me, the big releases for me, the ones I'm most interested in January are going to be Forspoken. On the fence with Forspoken. But again, I'm interested to see how that game turns out. But definitely Dead Space remake January 27th. That is, I'm going to be there day one. I don't know. I just don't know what platform I'm going to get it on. See, that's my dilemma right now. Do I get it on PS5 or PC, Xbox Series X maybe, depending on the performance versus PS5? But I've also got to see the performance on PC, see how the PC port, how that port runs. So that's January. David, are you back? Can you?
Yeah. Can you hear me all right?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear. So David, are they any games in the month of January that January 2023 that you're interested in out of those games that I just rattled off?
I'm interested in a fair few of them actually, but my backlog is going to stop me from getting to them too quickly.
Yeah, the backlog's I feel you on the backlog. I mean, it that's why it's hard for me, David, to really get into like the subscription services like Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, because I feel like there's so much content that comes out like regularly, and that I just naturally get this backlog. Now my gaming time's a little more limited, but that's why it's hard for me at times to really kind of sink my teeth in, into these subscription services, because there's so much newer stuff that's coming out that I either want to play and playing, or that I haven't played that I put on the back burner and then go back and play it when I'm finishing whatever I'm playing at the time. So that's my issue.
Yeah. I have the same problem. I think it's a broader issue than a lot of people talk about. Is it's great to have all this choice, but how many listeners and sit there that are listening now and sit there, they got Disney Plus or Netflix or something, and you'll spend 20 to 25 minutes just scrolling through it and find nothing to watch, because it's not that you're looking for something to fill the void. Everyone's terrified about making the wrong choice. And it's the same with like PlayStation Plus and Game Pass and those ones. I've got PlayStation Plus and I just go, I'll never play these games that I want to play in what's left of my lifetime. Like, just because the amount of time I have available to play games, I'm to the point now where I'm just going, this is the next one that's highest on the list, and I'm playing that and if I get to the next one after that, that's great. But yeah, you're just scrolling through them, going, "I'll never get these done."
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you go to February. Now February's a little bit. Octopath Traveler 2 is probably the February game I'd be most interested in. There's a bunch of other games that are releasing. There's Destiny 2 Lightfall. I'm not sure if I'm going to go back to Destiny 2. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
February's going to be an interesting one because of the PSVR 2 launch.
I was just about to say that.
And,
yeah, Call of the Mountain releases the 22nd of February.
Yeah. I don't mind the look of Scars Above and Wild Hearts as well as Octopath Traveler. February's fast becoming the month where they seem to just dump everything out, like the shortest month, and we'll just drop everything there.
Yeah.
Right before you go into the winter huddle, I guess, in the Northern Hemisphere, and you come into the summer huddle in the Northern Hemisphere. But it's crazy. They did it this year, and they did it in 2020 as well. So
yeah, yep. Now March gets interesting.
Those got to get those fiscal dollars in there, man. That's why.
That's true. What's up, B Money?
February's always loaded. What's going on, fellas?
Hey, it's not much, man. Happy holidays to you, B. I bet you happy holidays to you, Falky. So
happy holidays, fellas.
Yeah, B. I need those. Oh man, I need some more Jordan 1s, man. Oh man, I tell you, I almost pulled the trigger on a couple pairs today, man. But I had to resist because it's the holidays. I gotta get the kids Christmas gifts. So
Yeah, I hear you, man.
But so B, we're just kind of going through the games of 2023, going to the early months of 2023. We're in March right now, 2023. Last of Us Part 1 comes out on PC. I'm not playing that again, even though it's coming on PC. I just play the remake. Wolong Fallen Dynasty. Now that's the new Koei. Is that the new Koei Tecmo game? Is that?
That's Team Ninja.
Team Ninja. I'm sorry, Team Ninja. Yeah, that game looks interesting. That has my attention.
Yeah, that one seems to be more in the lines of like Sekiro, Bloodborne, as far as like the gameplay is set up.
Yeah,
probably more Sekiro. But then they have the other game that they're working on too, which is probably closer to like Ninja Gaiden, the Rise of Ronin.
Rise of Ronin, yeah.
Team Ninja's doing 3 games right now, so.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have Fatal Frame, Skull and Bones. I know it got delayed. Is that coming out in March? Is that because I know that got that pushed back?
It should not come out at all, but that's another story.
Legend of Heroes, which solid series. I believe has a little bit of a cult following. The Trails of Azure comes out March 14th, but the big one for me out of March is 2 games that stick out for me. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which is supposed to be coming out March of next year. And then Resident Evil 4 Remake. Those would be the 2 that I'm looking forward to the most for the month of March. The 2 big ones.
Yeah. I tell you what, for March, though, right at the back end of March is that Crime Boss Rockay City.
Yeah, I did see that too, Crime Boss, yep.
Yeah, that one will be, because we don't know much about it other than it's got a pretty stacked up cast in it. So, and that one's coming to PC. So I think if they stick the landing with that game, that could be an interesting one.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that game isn't like one of those really short games, like 5 or 6 hours, just because it has like that star-studded cast, and they, kind of spent the budget on the cast, and the game is like not really worth it at the end of the day. It looks really good from some of the stuff that they've shown, but I always feel like when you see like so many well-known names and they're using like their imagery as well, like we could be in a bit of a trouble.
Yeah, it could be a short one. I tell you, all I would like for it to do is not be the same as the last Saints Row game. I just total opposite of that.
I've
would
heard
be
people
nice.
say that. Yeah, I've heard people say that too, Falky. That they don't want another Saints Row. But yeah, B, I'm not. I don't disagree with you per se. I think, and I can't think of any. I guess in the past, I think there's been some games where they've had a pretty, a voice acting cast that was pretty well known. Maybe that didn't work out. I think the one series that's pulled that off has been GTA. You think about Vice City as an example. But and then if you go to April, you got Horizon Forbidden West, Burning Shores, which is DLC to Forbidden West, which is PS5 only, by the way, which I'm all for, by the way. I'm glad Sony made that decision. And then Dead Island 2 is supposed to be released in April, and that's a game that's been delayed quite a bit. And then you have the heavy hitter, which could be a Game of the Year contender, baby. In May, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Day one for that, for sure. That game is not going to be put in the back burner for me. I'm going to be there day one, for sure.
You gonna play it on your PC?
There's ways to do it, but
it's pretty amazing that they haven't announced what the next generation of Nintendo is going to be yet, because usually when we come to these moments where like the next big Zelda is coming out, in the past we've kind of been in a transition to the next generation, or the next console for Nintendo, and this time that we haven't seen an announcement yet. From when we were going from the Wii to the Wii U, there's a big Zelda game there. Coming from the Wii U to the Switch, there's a big Zelda game there. And when we come to the next mainline game, there still has not been an announcement for the next console. So it's very kind of amazing that we haven't heard anything about that. Like, there's been rumblings over the last couple of years about there being a Switch Pro, but nothing as far as like Nintendo coming out and saying, this is our plans going, for the future, or what our next generation console is going to be, or if it's just going to be a Switch 2 or whatever the case may be. So it's very interesting that we haven't heard that announcement yet.
It's an interesting one. Some of the whispers and moans that I've picked up on with that. There's quite a debate going on about whether they're going to make it backwards compatible or not. And a lot of that is an argument around the success of the Switch and its continued success.
Right.
This thing's just still selling at a clip like you wouldn't believe. And the longer they can get it to last, the better the profit margins are in the end of the day. But again, the longer that they can get it to last, the more advanced the tech is becoming. And you see those new entrants coming into the market for the handheld hybrid, like the Steam Deck and the AO's, whatever that Logitech thing was that lasted all of about 5 seconds. There's some entrants coming in that just don't seem to be able to compete, even though the tech is better. And obviously it's because of the quality of the game. So, there's, if they go to an uplift in the tech, and they have to do it from scratch, and they don't have the backwards compatibility, they may find that they're in a market situation where they need to have some kind of catalog to be able to play, like the PlayStation 5 had solved that issue of having not much of a catalog at launch by having the PS Plus collection and then making everything backwards compatible anyway.
Right.
And I'm not a big fan of longevity backwards compatibility, but I can understand why they did it. But I think that Switch, the Switch has got, my son's been playing Pokemon Violet. That thing has got pop in and stutter and all that sort of gear. It doesn't worry him. He doesn't care. And that's the market that it's aimed at for those particular games. But man, that thing's showing its age now. And at some point, they won't have the technology to code for that old stuff too. The coding engines will have moved on and it'll just become pointless. So I don't know. I'm surprised we haven't heard anything. I would have thought next year for sure, and have the new Zelda game going as a launch title, but
Right.
they're going
That's
to
what a
kick
lot
it
of
out
us
the door
thought.
then. That must be it. That's got to be the last one though. That's got to be the swan song for the Switch. You wouldn't expect them to go around another time, and in 3 years' time we're talking about a 10-year-old piece of equipment, and here's the next Zelda game.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's
yeah.
I mean that's Falk, I think you bring up a great point. I mean, the longer they can keep this thing, from a financial perspective, like the longer they can keep putting them out and then cranking the Switches out off the factory lines and getting them to the hands of consumers at the rate they are. You're right; those margins are only get bigger and bigger and bigger as time goes on. But then it's like, how much more longer can that platform maybe support some of the newer games that come out where that technology is a little bit older? You mentioned the recent Pokemon game, which is actually, I think that Pokemon game, if I'm not mistaken, has kind of sparked some of the conversation around should Nintendo release like a Switch Pro, which some of us speculate, hey, maybe when Zelda comes out that's going to be the first game on a Switch Pro. But we're going March here in the US will be 5 years that since the Switch released. Typical console life cycle, well, I say typical, it's not typical anymore, but it's always been about 5 years. I'm just wondering how quickly. I'm just curious to see if Nintendo after this year maybe decides to move to a Switch Pro. I don't see them going away from the Switch formula, that hybrid console. I just feel like it makes too much sense for them. They hit that lightning in the bottle again. I don't think they would deviate from that formula because it's working so well for them. But
well, you look at Nintendo's top 4 devices that they've ever sold is a Game Boy, Game Boy Color, the DS, and the 3DS. So, and we all have a soft spot for that Nintendo 64. That thing was a beast when it came out. I suppose it was the crescendo that went up against the next level, which being the PlayStation, being the CD and all the rest of it. It peaked, but it peaked a little bit later than what the rest of the industry wanted. But the Nintendo 64 never did any numbers even close to what people would think it should have done. But their handhelds have just sold like hotcakes every time they make them. I think I have a suspicion that some of the failings of some of the shortcomings of the Steam Deck and the Logitech G and those other couple of items with that the 5G being Wi-Fi only and not 5G and a few other bits and pieces and battery life issues, I think that might have caused them a bit of concern. But again, there's a reason why PlayStation isn't even going near a handheld at the moment. And when you're doing 200,000 or 300,000 units globally a week, and you're struggling to keep up with that demand 7 years into the bloody life cycle, I think it's just some of the issues with some of the games recently. And it's the Pokemon games that have me worried about that new Zelda game a bit. They can't afford to kick that thing out the door with those kind of pop-in issues and some of the other graphical issues that the Pokemon games got. The gameplay of the new Pokemon games is fine. It's smooth as butter. There's no issues there. It's just the visuals.
It's the visuals, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if you did the Breath of the Wild looking exactly the same as that, with just a different storyline and all the rest of it in it, you could probably get away with it. But I think their fans are starting to get, the vocal fans are starting to go, right, we want the next thing. Whereas, 70-something% of Switch owners are kids. So, and I don't really care.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to welcome Hamp to the show. Hamp, what's going on, man?
How's my friend? How are you doing?
We were worried about you. Falky joined, he's like, hey, he's like, perhaps, where's Hamp? Great to see you, man.
I I fell asleep while I was downloading WRC Generations
So-
as part of my latest debunking campaign.
I know what you're talking about too. By the way, I said this to Falky. I said, "Hey, he may have fell asleep." I was like, "The man doesn't sleep much," but no, it's all good, man. No, we just wanted to make sure you're okay. I thought like, hopefully nothing happened, but no, great to have you on the show. But and actually, your timing's perfect because I did want to transition over to a quick topic, and I think B, you may have saw this on Twitter today. Falky, I think you did see this as well because I think you liked one of my tweets regarding this. At Hamp, we talked about this as well. The DualSense Edge, which is Sony's $200 controller. It's their their pro controller, if you will. Similar to the Xbox Elite controllers that are out there right now. This is a $200 controller that's releasing. Is it I think it's mid-January or late January of next year. I don't forget the actual week in January 26th. So The Verge actually put out an article. They had a hands-on impressions of. They just published their hands-on impressions of Sony's new DualSense Edge gamepad. And look, I mean, they said they came fairly impressed. But one of the things that they mentioned was that this controller has a less battery life than Sony's DualSense controller. And Sony's statement about that was the DualSense Edge wireless controller's operating time is moderately shorter than the original DualSense wireless controller because we've included many more features within the same form factor and I can never pronounce that word, by the way. Ergonomic design.
Ergonomic.
Thank you. At the original DualSense controller. We wanted to strike a good balance between wireless operating time and delivering robust high-performance features. Additionally, the longer USB braided cable is also great for competitive players who prefer playing with a wired connection to avoid wireless interference. This option preserves battery life, which is what I will use with my DualSense. I have a charging docking station, and I also have, if I'm lazy, I don't feel like getting up, I will use my extended USB cable, plug it to my PS5, sit on the couch and play without any ear interference from people or animals. I'm able to do that. And so, yeah. But look, I just some quick thoughts here, and then I'll go to the panel. I saw a lot of people commenting on this. Some people were upset. Look, I get and I understand wanting. Look, I get it. You pay $200. You would like to have a longer battery life. I get that. But what I don't get is the sky is falling because there's less battery conversation. And my point was, and I made this tweet earlier. I said, look, in this world that we live in today, we figure out how to keep our cell phones charged, or $1,000 cell phones that seemingly have less battery life the more advanced they get. We figured that out. I'm sure we'll figure out how to keep controllers charged. And again, look, I get it. I'm not saying that, hey, you can't scratch it and be like, well, wait a minute, like this would be great if I had more battery life. But what I don't agree with, though, is that some people are skating by that. Look, there's solutions to this. But we also, the other thing I don't agree with is that we don't know the difference between. Yes, Ryan. I don't always play wired. I don't always connect wired USB when I'm playing video games. I will, though, when I'm playing shooters, for sure. I absolutely will. But what I have some issue with too, though, is that people arriving to some kind of final conclusion about this controller where we don't have a full review. We don't know how this game performs in the real world. We don't know the difference in terms of battery life, like how many hours or how many minutes less battery life that the DualSense Edge has compared to the regular DualSense. We don't know if that difference is really going to impact someone's gameplay. But again, like Sony did say, there is a solution. There is a braided USB cable, which I'm glad they included a braided USB cable because I think that speaks to a certain build quality that I would expect with a $200 controller. But I do take issue with people kind of skating past the fact that, look, there's ways to get around this. There's ways to keep your DualSense Edge charged where it doesn't impact your gaming experience, and that's either through USB or you can dock, the controller on a docking station and charge that way. There's options, and there's options that will mitigate any interruption in gameplay. So Sergeant said, "Insert, don't you have phones?" So, and that was kind of my point. Like, look, we figured this stuff out with other electronic devices. Pretty sure we'll figure out with this one. So anyhow, that's just my 2 cents on that particular topic. But I'll open up to the panel. And guys, please feel free to chime in. Hamp, Falky, or B Money. What do you guys think about this? I don't know if I want to call it an issue, but some of the issues some folks have brought up, and even the media's report about this, they've kind of brought this up. I think one media site said, this isn't this may not be a viable option or something. I'd have to pull up the article again. I think you might remember that article, but or this might be a gamble buying this controller or something. I think they said, but anyhow, what are your thoughts, gentlemen?
I mean, for me, someone who has purchased an Elite controller before, spending a great amount of money on a controller is not something that every consumer is going to do. So when you hear news like this, that the battery capacity could be lower than the standard controller, it's a bit of a disappointment. You know what I mean? The standard controller is already $70, $75 if you go get a different color. So when you're spending $200, you expect that all of the specs of the controller be just another level. You know what I mean? You expect everything to be better than what you previously had. So it's not a huge deal, but it definitely is a disappointment. I definitely voiced that on social media that,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I buy other Sony products. You know what I mean? I have Sony cameras. I have, Alpha Series camera. I buy their headphones. Like, they make quality products. They have quality TVs. They make great sensors. You know what I mean? Like, they have really good stuff. So you would think that, if they're trying to take PlayStation to the next level, you know what I mean, as far as, being a premium product, their words, not mine. You would think that the specs for the controller would also match the words that come out of their mouth. So that's my only issue with it, really. You know what I mean? Other than that, like, it's kind of whatever. But for $200, if you're gonna speak to having premium products, then I want a premium experience.
Can I agree with everything you just said. I say this tongue in cheek, what I'd like to know is what amount of time are we talking as an acceptable amount of gaming time out of a controller like this? Because I can get 10 plus hours out of a standard controller without recharging it. And that's, I say continuous use, but that's my son doing an hour or two here and an hour or two there, and then I'm doing an hour or two here or there. I barely get enough of an opportunity to string 2 hours worth of gaming together in any one session. So obviously there are those that play professionally and play large chunks of time every day, streaming and competitive and the rest of it. But like, what's an unacceptable, or what is the acceptable amount of time, I guess, is something that I'd like to know from these media reports and these test users. If it's moderately less than 10 to 12 hours, are we talking like 6 to 8 hours? Is that unacceptable? They're the sort of things that I'd like to hear more about it. But one thing I did note when DualSense first came out and they had people saying I can get 12 to 14 hours, I can only get 3 or 4 hours. Anybody who was plugging their headphones into the controller were the ones that were finding the controllers would drain out really quickly, because you got these monstrous headphone units that are sucking the power out of the controller to power them. So, and that whether that plays a factor in here or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, I suppose that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, and that's a great question, David. Like I don't know, and maybe you can answer this, B, because like I look, I only have one like pro controller, and that's the Elite Series 2. But to be frank, it's still in a box. I haven't used it at all. That's a me problem. But yeah, I mean that's a great question. I think, fucking, like, what's an acceptable, battery amount, like battery time amount, like for gaming sessions, like, and that's the thing. Like if it's 12, if the DualSense is 12 hours, and what does marginally less mean for the DualSense Edge? That's what I'm curious about too. And is that acceptable? And that might be, I don't know, maybe that's up to each individual consumer, even like you hearing this, is this a controller that you're going to get, or are you going to pass for the time being?
I mean, I want to feel the weight of the controller. Like, I really like the feel of the standard DualSense.
Yeah, I do
like,
too.
It's got like a nice weight to it.
It does, yeah.
So I want to see if the DualSense Edge is a little heavier. Because I like meaty controllers. That's one thing I really like about the Elite. Is that it has like a nice heft to it, like in the hand. You know what I mean? It's got like a nice balance of weight. So if the controller is slightly heavier, I probably will go ahead and pick it up, just for that reason alone. Just because, like I said, I like a heavier controller. So if it is a slightly heavier, and then yeah, I'll probably pick it up.
Okay.
I agree with that. The PS3 controllers were way too light. I'm glad they've got heavy ones now.
Oh yeah, the PS3 controls are really light. Yeah. The DualShock 4 was better, but yeah, I think the DualSense is their best controller by far. But Hamp, what are your thoughts, Hamp?
Man, there are many. So
all right.
So one thing is, I mean, my point of view is definitely I don't know how exactly I want to term it. I come from a background where I spent a lot of time, reviewing mobile devices, right, phones and tablets, and it was definitely not unusual for there to be models, right, SKUs where, you can see this in like the Galaxy S20X line, right, and sometimes right with the Note or with the Fold, or with the Flip, for various models to have the exact same battery, right, and therefore a higher premium SKU to sometimes have less battery life because it's got the exact same battery as the next lower model down, right? And so sometimes, right, in that world, we will say as reviewers, if your concern is battery life, get the mid-level SKU, right? If you don't need the super hyper performance of the top end, and you're primarily concerned about battery life, like, get the middle SKU. So that's not unusual. It's clear from an investment perspective, right? What Sony did was they used the exact same battery as far as we know, which is about a 1560 milliamp hour battery, in the DualSense, right, for the DualSense Edge, and took the design trade off of therefore it having a knock on battery life. But most of my thoughts are the same, kind of as Falky said, right? And again, I come from a systems engineering background, right? So the way I look at things is things can be negatives, but if they don't impact me and my use case, then I don't worry about what that negative impact is. Some of the things I posted today was right now real world battery testing, and I'm going to talk about real world battery testing here in a minute. Real-world battery testing shows that that life of the DualSense controller is anywhere from 4 to 12 hours, and that they have seen instances where it will degrade over time. And so for me, as my personal, and that the average gamer, right, the average gamer plays about an hour of gameplay a day. Now, for people who are kind of in our circle, for the way that we play, it wouldn't surprise me for that average, on our end of the bell curve to be more towards the 2 to 4 end. I personally play 2 hours, right, in a sitting, generally. Every once in a while it goes a skosh over that when I'm playing something like, Call of Duty or a long night of Halo Infinite with friends. But in general, 4 hours is kind of on the extreme end. And so if you play 4 hours and this controller doesn't last 4 hours, then that's a problem. But if this controller gets you to 4 hours, I don't know that I would have a ton of sympathy for, people who were bothered by this thing's battery life. And then, as you talked about, right, there are all types of substitutions and things that you can go through. But mainly, I align with Falky, right? If the battery life is sufficient for me personally to get through my gaming scenarios, then that's all I'm really worried about, right? Anything beyond that is just me complaining just to complain. One thing that I will say, the thing that bugs me about kind of journalistically how this has come out and gone down, on the internet is, anybody who spent any time around a lot of reviewing products that are battery powered and actually has spent a lot of time around, doing battery reviews, power consumption reviews, knows that battery testing in pre-release time frame is not valid. The design isn't final, but most importantly, software is not final, and software can have a significant impact on battery life. That's firmware that's going to go on the controller. That's software that's going to be in the PlayStation 5 operating system. And so, kind of like you said, right, acting like the sky is falling, London Bridge is falling down is way premature on this type of product. So my gut is telling me that battery life isn't great now. It'll improve a skosh before, by the time it's finally released. It will probably improve to the point where it doesn't personally impact me. And so, this is a nothing burger to me. The thing I'll say that PlayStation people probably won't like is going back to, are you actually going to buy this controller? My personal feeling is, I know of maybe at most 2 titles on the PlayStation 5 that would actually warrant this kind of controller and the need for that level of precision. And that's COD, if you're playing, competitively, or you're really wrapped around the axle about your KD ratio, and maybe Gran Turismo 7. And even Gran Turismo 7 Gran Turismo 7 if you're playing multiplayer and playing competitively. But quite honestly, there's just not a lot on the PlayStation 5 that really warrant this level of control. You don't need this level of precision for God of War Ragnarok. So
you're saying I don't need this precision when I'm throwing my axe, then?
Right. Okay. I mean, this to me it's almost the equivalent of, I don't know that the $200 price tag justifies it, but it's the equivalent of, a special edition, right, with a special skin type of level of product. And the main thing that I point out today, and the reason why I have a big problem with the way people are dealing with it out on Twitter is, there are alternatives, right? The PlayStation 5 controller is not a monopoly. They have licensed that spec out, and other people are building controllers. Scuff is building a controller. There are several controllers that have better battery life than this. There are several controllers that are likely to have better precision and better control surfaces. So you have options, and definitely, if this is not doing it for you, you should not pay it just because it's a Sony product, absolutely. But by the same token, if you're going to complain about it and say that it falls short, and what aggravates me is a lot of people run around with this as if they are consumer advocates. Then do your damn job, be an actual consumer advocate, do the research, and point people out alternatives instead of just crying wolf. And making a big complaint burger out of this. Actually do something for people that is actually helpful and is actually a solution and actually moves the needle and moves the ball.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was commenting on earlier, Hamp. I just felt like that was a lot of skies falling thing. Again, I don't fault anyone or disagree with anyone that thinks, hey, I would have preferred like B said, a longer battery life. Like I don't think that's an issue. It's just the sky's falling, and this is the worst thing since, I don't know, I can't think of an example. The worst thing since Elon Musk buying, Twitter. I mean, that kind of stuff. What I was kind of referring to as well. And then I thought some of the coverage by some of the media sites was kind of interesting. And God, I never thought I would call out media. If Mooch is listening, he's probably has a big grin on his face right now because him and I used to go back and forth about the media. But there were some articles there I just didn't think were really warranted in their final conclusion about a product that they hadn't. One actually article they didn't even hadn't even reviewed the product or did a preview hands on. They just were citing what The Verge had written about the DualSense Edge. So for me, this is I look. I don't have any intention of buying this controller. Just not in my something that I'm interested in right now. Like I said, I have a Xbox Elite 2, and I don't even use it. So, but all right. Well, let me see here. I got to remove some of the live chat. All right. So I want to talk about best games of 2022, and this is actually real quick to the panel. So I need a trivia question here. I need I'm trying to do a giveaway for the holidays, but I'm trying to do like a giveaway, like a trivia giveaway, but I don't have a trivia question. So I don't know if somebody on the panel wants to come up with a trivia question. Maybe DM me on Twitter what that trivia question is. But I can't think of anything right now. And actually, I think when I've tried to do trivia in the past, the questions were too easy. Like, I would say stuff like, who makes the Xbox? I mean, not that easy, but yeah. Slow-mo would kind of make fun of me because the trivia questions were easy, but anyway.
Hey,
yeah.
Brap, I just want to break in. Look, some of you guys are out here in the chat and you disagree with our points of view, and that's fine. But you guys who are out there being little children and want to dump to name calling and insults, quite frankly, you could just get the fuck out, right? I'm really tired. How are you insulting Timbercloud? Don't insult my intelligence. You just said Brap is a tool, right? That's if you disagree, cite why you disagree, cite your case, stick to the points, all right, that we're talking about. If you've got a problem, then and you can't keep away from name calling and insults, then just get out, right? We're here having a discussion, right, about games in the industry.
Yeah. Capote said, "Wow, you made Ham swear." Yeah, and I mean, Timber, I saw you did throw an insult out there, and look, if you're here to have discourse, that's fine. But when you start insulting, like we're just not doing that here. Yeah, we're not doing that here. So yeah,
no, I'm not crying a river, Timbercloud. I'm saying that there's a certain way that you act towards people and treat people, and your defense that, oh, well, he called somebody else a name, so I'm going to call a name. Again, this is not a place for children, right? If it's past your bedtime, right, and you need your fucking bottle, then go do that and get the fuck out of the chat.
All right, yeah. So I don't think he'll be back. I think I may have removed him. So anyhow, yeah. So I do want to, yeah. So if somebody could, if someone can give me a trivia question, a DM, and then I'll ask the trivia question to the panel, or not the panel, to the live chat. Then we can. What's up, Royal Boyle? And then we can do the giveaway. So, yeah. So someone please DM me a trivia question, or I'll try to figure one out as the show goes on. But
I sent you one.
Okay, so Falky, are you saying what the name of that person, like what that person's name is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the guy that went crazy, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Do you have his name? Do you know his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. DM me his name, because he was the one that was at the end. I'm not going to give anything away, but yeah. Okay. That's actually a good question. All right. Let's move to so Game Industry Biz put out a infographic, and I put it early in the live chat. Actually, I'll drop it again. Let's see here. Let me do that again real quick. Bulbro Country says he needs a blunt for this episode. Good old Borbor. All right. So Game Industry Biz, and I dropped the link in the live chat. They actually put out an infographic for, and I don't know if you saw this, Falky. I don't know if you read this article, or if you saw this beat, but it's GameIndustry.biz presents the year in numbers 2022. It's their annual infographic to reveal the best-selling games, biggest mobile markets, global revenue, and more. So they use global game markets values courtesy of Newzoo. Total box versus digital revenues, also via Newzoo. Biggest mobile games publishers in countries by both revenue and downloads from Sensor Tower. They also pulled the best-selling games in the UK from GfK, US from the NPD Group, and Japan from Famitsu. They also, one of the items they covered here was most covered games, which I thought was interesting. Most covered games and companies, and that was provided by ICO or ICO, I think. Not sure. And then they also I like things like biggest influencers, most watched game trailers, most tweeted, retweeted games, and titles with the most retail placements, and that was courtesy of Fancensus. And so they did, and I don't think anyone's surprised to see this. Year over year, gaming was down about 4.3%. And we talked a lot about, us coming out of the the pandemic was kind of a big driver of game revenue. What a lot of people were, locked in their homes, not really going out, and there was that big uptick. And gaming in general. I think outside of they were saying downloaded box PC games was up like 1.8%, but everything else was down. Console games down 4.2%. Console, according to this graph, consoles are 28% of the market. Does that sound right to you, Falky? 28% of the market for game consoles, or what game consoles account for?
It's about right, give or take.
All right, and then mobile games, 50% of the market. And their mobile games were down 6.2% year over year. Mobile games, it's almost double console consoles, or console games, I should say.
So which report are you looking at again?
What's that?
Which report are you looking at?
This is here. I dropped it in the live chat. Actually, I can DM this to you, Fuck, if you want to take a look at it while we're chatting about it. Let me a sec here.
Because I come across the 3 different reports I've read on the industry this week, and all 3 of them are supposedly expert analysis, and all 3 of them have got different numbers in it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, this was from Newzoo, November 2022, global games market value. That's what this article's.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember this one. Yeah, 28% about right.
Yeah. So let's see here. Best-selling box games of the year. That's not digital. That's excuse me. In the UK, FIFA was number 1. Call of Duty was number 2. Pokemon Legends. I can never pronounce that. Is it Arceus? Arceus, thank you. Horizon Forbidden West was number 4. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet were number 5. Lego Star Wars 6. Mario Kart 8. 7. God of War came in at 8 in the UK. Nintendo Switch Sports 9. And 10 Elden Ring. God, FIFA's just huge over there. Go ahead.
I need to jump in here before anybody starts up with but they bundled Horizon Forbidden West and they bundled God of War Ragnarok. Those bundles are digital only. They don't come with a box disc. So they genuinely sold more than Elden Ring without those bundles.
Yeah, but you know that's coming, Falky. Like you said. And actually, I think Happy brought that up too, that people were going to bring that point up.
Yeah. That might skew the statistic, a skosh one way or the other if it was included. But I just personally don't believe it's something that makes a big threshold shift. The argument that's there, for people to muddle over is, at various points throughout the year, including when I, bought my PlayStation 5, those were the only SKUs available, right? And so certainly there were some number of people who grabbed, those consoles who, Horizon Forbidden West, may not have been, something that they would have normally gone after. I just tend to believe that statistic is kind of in the noise. I think if you're a PlayStation player, right, who's buying the PlayStation to participate in the PlayStation ecosystem and play PlayStation games, I readily think that Horizon Forbidden West will be something that you will want to play. And so I don't know why that purchase or that sale, that unit of movement would be considered invalid.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great point. Go ahead, Foggy.
No, I was just agreeing.
Oh, okay.
I agree.
All right. And then Japan, let's see. Japan, we had Splatoon 3, number 1, Pokemon Scarlet Violet, Pokemon Legends. I can't pronounce it again. Number 3. Number 4, Kirby Forgotten Land. 5, Nintendo Switch Sports. 6, Nintendo just dominated this chart, by the way. Like, literally dominated this chart. Like, everything's like a Nintendo exclusive, except for Minecraft Minecraft Switch Edition at number 7. Mario Party Superstars at 8. Super Smash Brothers Ultimate at 9. Elden Ring was like the non-Nintendo game on that list, that top 10 list. And that was the source for that was Famitsu from December 27, 2021 to December 4th, 2022. So all right, United States best-selling games. Again, this is per MPD Group. Big shout out to Matt Piscatello, who no longer, if you guys don't know, I don't know if you guys know this, he doesn't post the MPD numbers on Twitter. I can only imagine why. He does it on LinkedIn now. So thankfully, I'm following him on LinkedIn now. But again, I think we know why he doesn't do it on Twitter anymore. So thank you for that, gamers. Not all gamers, by the way. And this is from January 1st to November 26, 2022. The digital sales aren't included in this. Xbox and Switch digital sales not included as well. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 was number 1. Elden Ring number 2. Madden, God, it's crazy. I mean, Call of Duty jumps number 1. It's only out for like a month. And all these other titles have been out longer. That's wild. Elden Ring 2, Madden 23, 3. Lego Star Wars, The Skywalker Saga 4, God of War Ragnarok 5, Pokemon Legend. Again, I can't pronounce that, Falky. What is it? What is it again? Arceus?
Arceus.
Thank you.
Arceus.
I speak 2 languages, so that's my excuse. Pokemon Legends Arceus. Pokemon Scarlet Violet was 7. 8, Horizon Forbidden West. We actually had someone in our live chat tell us a couple weeks ago that it flopped. FIFA 23, number 9, and MLB The Show 22, number 10. So those would be the top 10 best-selling games of the year in the U.S. according to NPD. Now, Elden Ring had the highest Metacritic of 2022 at 96. And they also did interesting. They broke down the top the mobile market, the top game publishers and mobile by worldwide download. I can't even talk. Worldwide downloads. Azure Interactive Games with 1.1 billion downloads. Embracer Group. You go, B-Money. Embracer Group, 1.1 billion downloads. Supersonic Studios. I've never heard of Supersonic Studios, to be frank. What do they make? Or what do they publish? Anyone know?
We have to look that up.
Yeah.
I would assume probably something mobile.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the mobile market. What'd you say, Falky?
Oh, it's just which one are we asking about? Azure Interactive or Embracer Group?
No, Supersonic Studios.
Oh, Supersonic Studios.
Yeah, I've never heard of. Yeah, it's a new one for me. All right, top. Also, the mobile market top games publishers by worldwide consumer spending. Tencent, 6.8 billion. Activision Blizzard, 2.5 billion. Hence the scrutiny of this deal. If you need some additional understanding of why it's being scrutinized so heavily. NetEase, 2.4. Playrix, 2 billion. Take-Two Interactive, 2 billion. Top games by worldwide downloads, all mobile. Subway Surfers, never heard of it. Garena Free Fire, I'm sorry. Let me go back to Subway Surfers. Subway Surfers 275 million. Garena Free Fire 245 million. Stumble Guys 174 million. Ludo King 165 million. Roblox 163 million.
Did you say you never heard of Subway Surfers?
Nope, I've never heard of Subway Surfers. Should I know that game, B? Are you gonna pull my card, B?
That's like the one game that like everybody has on their phone if they have kids, because it's like, all right, if we're going somewhere and you annoying me, just play Subway Surfers and leave me the hell alone.
Okay, see, B, I didn't know that.
Today's version of Snake.
Okay, I know B.
Modern day version of Snake.
Oh, is it? No, my kids played Snake. Yeah, that Snake game, as I used to call it. But no, I've never heard of that, B. But now, B, now I know. If we're at a restaurant and we're trying to eat and they're going nuts, Subway Surfers it is, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Top games by consumer. I think these are mobile games. Top games by worldwide consumer spending. Honor of Kings, 2.5 billion. PUBG Mobile, Jesus, 1.9 billion. Genshin Impact, 1.7 billion. Candy Crush Saga, 1.2 billion. Roblox, 1 billion. Now, this is okay. So this next chart. I kind of thought about this a little bit. I thought it was interesting because I thought it made me think about the Activision, the Microsoft's acquisition of Activision, and their kind of their desire to get to penetrate the mobile market more, presumably using xCloud to offer console-like experience on mobile platforms, or maybe mobile is the dominant market. And top countries by worldwide downloads, India's 8.9 billion. Second to India is the U.S., but it's about half of that, 4.4 billion. Then you have other countries, Brazil 4.2, Indonesia 3.2, Russia 2.4 billion.
Pretty major, man. It's pretty major. Lots of money there.
So B, it made me think about like this is part of their strategy to develop inroads into those markets, right?
Yeah.
Be interesting to know what the top game is in India, though.
Yeah,
they've got some pretty strict laws about gambling and loot boxes and MTX and all that.
Oh, do they really? I didn't know that.
Mm.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see what the top game is there. Top countries by worldwide consumer spending. Again, this is a mobile market. U.S. is actually at 20.8 billion. Japan at 4.2 billion. China 13.4. And South Korea 5.2, and then Taiwan 2.3. So that's those are the numbers for mobile for 2022. And then the other list, the other list I saw that I thought was interesting here was most covered games. That was actually number one was Elden Ring. Fortnite was 2. Genshin Impact was 3. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. 5, The Last of Us, Part 2. 6, Minecraft. 7, Cyberpunk. 8, Horizon Forbidden West, which apparently was a flop. Overwatch 2, number 9. 10 was God of War Ragnarok. 11 was League of Legends. 12 was Apex Legends. 13 was FIFA 23. 14, PUBG. 15, Destiny 2. So those are the most covered games according to the source was, I think it's ICO or ICO. Most covered companies in gaming. Nintendo at number 1, Microsoft at number 2, Sony at number 3, Ubisoft at 4, Epic at 5, Twitch at 6, Activision at 7, Sega 8, Valve at 9, Bethesda at 10. And then let's see here, most viewed game trailers. I thought it was kind of interesting too. Number 1 was League of Legends. Poppy Playtime? I've never heard of Poppy Playtime. Have you heard of that, B-Money? Is that something you know? Anyone heard that? I haven't.
My kids play that Poppy Playtime nonsense.
I'm like, so B, are a lot of these games like just kids that like games that kids are like?
Yeah, man. It's if you ever, I don't know if your kids watch like YouTube, like streamers and stuff.
Dude, that's all they watch, B. That's all they watch
Yeah.
now.
Yep. So that's what my younger, like my 5-year-old, he watches a lot of like streamers and stuff.
Does he watch the streamers playing
plays
like farming simulator and stuff?
Yeah. And
Yeah, that's
he
what my 4-year-old
plays,
watches. Yeah.
He plays Roblox on his iPad, and then he'll download whatever games the streamers are playing or whatever. So he plays that Poppy Playtime, and right now he's playing something in Roblox where like you can create a character or whatever. So he's really into Sonic, so he's been making a bunch of different Sonics inside of Roblox, which is actually pretty cool because it actually really looks like Sonic. But yeah, man, they're all over stuff like that. Whatever the little trendy games are, or whatever these YouTube streamers are playing that have 1 million views and 100 million subs and all this crazy stuff. They got the kids locked down, and they're the ones that are playing all these games we've never heard of.
Yeah, I was gonna say that'd be like my 8-year-old will like watch streamers and be like, "Oh, Daddy, have you played this game?" I'm like, "I've never even heard of that."
Yeah.
And then I'll hear him and his friends talk, and they're talking about games I've never even heard of. And not that they don't they're not aware of the CODs or the Fortnites. I was actually surprised that many of my 8-year-old's friends and my 13-year-old's friends, they knew about God of War Ragnarok. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But they all know Call of Duty and Fortnite and PUBG and Roblox
Right.
and what's the other one? Minecraft. But yeah, I mean, like some of these games that they talk about, I'm like, what is that? And they look at me like I'm crazy. I think one of my kids' friends was like, "Don't you play video games?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do, but it's not that." I was like, "Let me try to pull my card, little man." Like, I just don't play those video games. So yeah, so Poppy Playtime, never heard it. But so Call of Duty Modern Warfare was number 3 on that list. Musk viewed game trailers, and Fortnite was 5. Or no, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is. Oh, I guess they had 2 reveals. So there was one that was a music video, and there was a worldwide reveal. Those were 3 and 4. The Fortnite All Battle No Build was the number 5. And then Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 4 Cinematic was 6. League of Legends with Lil Nas X was number 7. Fortnite Frost Survival by Sawyer was number 8. Fortnite Zero Build gameplay trailer was number 9, and Fortnite again racing map codes was 10. So Fortnite having quite a bit of viewership there in 2022. And actually, Fortnite, this is I gotta say, B, I don't know if you're playing Zero Build mode, but that Zero Build mode is what got me into Fortnite. Like really got me into Fortnite.
That's what brought me back to it.
Okay.
They had announced it as like a temporary thing. So I jumped on, and then it became like so popular because when you look at it, it's really one of the only third-person shooters that we have. I mean, as far as like a big budget shooter like that can be played across many devices. So they realized that mode was really popular as more people kind of jumped in there, and they brought it back as a permanent mode, and I've been playing it ever since. I usually play it, like a couple times a week. Like my older sons, my 13-year-old and my 15-year-old, they still play the mode like where you got to build or whatever, and I'm like I'm not playing that. But the no build mode, I'm in there all day, man. I mean, I'm not playing somebody when they building fucking skyscrapers and shit, man.
I hate that.
I'm not doing it.
No, I played with Cat Daddy, and I didn't mind the build mode, but I don't think it's something I would do by myself. Like he was doing all the building. He's like, "BRAP, I'll build, you shoot." I'm like, "Cool, we can do that all day." But yeah, the no build is just it's solid. It's a lot of fun, man. It really is. Too bad Slow-Mo's not here. Slow-Mo's actually a whale when it comes to Fortnite. So that's another conversation. So now, most discussed games on Twitter. I thought this was kind of interesting too. Genshin Impact was number 1. Final Fantasy 16 2, Elden Ring 3, Splatoon 3 4, then Call of Duty Modern Warfare, then Sonic Frontiers, then Overwatch 2, then God of War, Ragnarok, Minecraft, Pokemon Scarlet, Apex Legends. Stray was up there, Pokemon Violet, Street Fighter 6, and then King of Fighters 15. So those are the most tweeted games for 2022. So, yeah, I thought this was interesting. I thought it was kind of an interesting infographic that GameIndustry.biz put together. That's why I wanted to talk about it, kind of give everyone some kind of insight into, the best-selling games of 2022, and then, give some insight to the mobile market, and then, some more insight into, coverage and social media. So, all right. Let's see what time it is. When should I ask? I'm trying to think when I should ask this. This is a great question, by the way, Falky. This trivia question. I don't know if anyone's going to get this, but we'll see. We'll see. So again,
it shouldn't be too difficult.
It might be. It might be. All right. Let's again. Look, everyone in the live chat. We're going to give away a gift card. It could be either for Xbox or PlayStation, whatever your platform of choice is, and whoever answers this trivia question will get this this gift card. So now you do need to be in the U.S. That is one stipulation. You also need to DM me if we're not connected on Twitter. BRAP_podcast. No, Rodimus, no PSMR gift card. No, that's not. I'm not doing that. I know many, not many here probably are on PC. You should be, but so yeah, so there's so that's kind of the big stipulation. You just need to be here in the U.S. and then just DM me at BRAP_podcast so that I can get you the gift card, and you gotta let me know which platform you want the gift card for. So so we'll do that trivia here in just a couple of minutes or so, but. I do want to get to one more topic. We talked about the Game Awards quite a bit, and I think, Falky, you were with us this past Sunday when we had this discussion. Warrior Wart joined us. The great Warrior Wart joined us. Forte was with us as well. Hampy were there. We talked about the Video Game Awards. We talked about, Xbox not being at the Game Awards, and, they... some of the media coverage was kind of interesting in that regard. Ryan McCaffrey wrote an opinion piece where he felt like, hey, like Microsoft, how could you have missed the Game Awards? Windows Central, which is a very pro Xbox media site, wrote kind of a similar article. And then, the more Xbox centric podcasts I've seen more recently have been kind of I've been criticizing Microsoft for not being at the Game Awards, and we know about this 100 million. 100 million. I think it was like 105 million people that watched the show, and now Microsoft is they didn't show anything there. They did have a Game Pass commercials, but Nintendo, Sony both showed games that are going to be releasing on their platforms. And there's rumors, if you believe this, I don't know if you've heard anything, but there's some rumors out there that there's a potential January Xbox showcase. Which, look, I think if that's the case, great. Hopefully they show. I'd like to see. Hopefully they show me some more Starfield. I want to see that. Maybe more Redfall footage. But I mean, I just think like if you. A January event might get how many people watching? A couple million compared to 100 million? I kind of scratched my head a little bit with why Microsoft wouldn't, with the eyes that are on the Video Game Awards, not have something to show, or maybe not give an update in some of those bigger titles. But I look, and I personally think Microsoft, the Xbox, just from the launch of the Series X and I've talked about this a lot. The way they marketed this console to me, well, not just to me, but to the general public, was, hey, this thing eats monsters for men. It's a 16, what is it, 12 teraflop? I said 16, 12 teraflop beast. It's so powerful. It's the most powerful console ever. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, like we're going to see games that reflect that hardware spec. And I just haven't seen that. I haven't seen a consistent production pipeline of first party releases from them. And 2022 was supposed to be, their year, and then games got delayed, and now we're hearing 2023 is going to be their year. And I think Xbox needs to have a good 2023. I think they need to improve that production pipeline, put out, a consistent release, be more consistent in their first party releases. And I'm not saying they all need to be AAA bangers per se, but I do think they need some AAA games. Starfield's going to be one of them. But I think they need to have some games that, in my opinion, show off the Series X, and have a little more consistency in their first party releases, where they're releasing both AAA and they don't have to be all AAA, but I think they should be a nice mixture of AAA and AA. I think, at least for me, for me to. And I think that would benefit Game Pass too. I mean, I'm someone who subscribes to Game Pass, who's locked in for that. I'm probably locked in for another. Oh Jesus, I want to say 2 years, which, but I don't use Game Pass. I mean, it's funny. Like I put out my my third party, not third party. Was it True Achievements put out a year in review for Xbox. And Madden was my most played game on Xbox. And someone's like, "You play Madden?" I'm like, "No, those are my kids." I'm like, "Those are my kids. They're padding my stats on Xbox." But I don't use Xbox Game Pass. I used it once this year on Game Pass Ultimate PC for Plague's Tale. So I'm not getting my money's worth per se. Now I understand everyone's experience with Game Pass is different, but this is my experience. I'm just not getting the value there. For me, I think them putting out more first-party games, like a Starfield, a AAA game, and again, doesn't have to be every month, but I think more of those reoccurring releases would benefit me, and I'd probably actually be using Game Pass more. And I think that there's some potential benefit to them having consistent releases because, now you're starting to get more first-party games in the Game Pass. You have these 23 studios. There's some talented studios there. There could be an opportunity for them to drop some good games into Game Pass. And look, that's why I signed up for Game Pass, for Microsoft's first party day and date stuff. Like that, to me, it just, when they announced it in 2017, I'm like, yep, makes sense. First party, I'm there. Rodimus, I'm not going to try High on Life. It's just not. I've watched gameplay of it, and it's not my game. I know people like it, but it's just not. It's not for me. It's not for me. All right. B-Money, I want to go to you, man, because I was wondering, have you heard anything about a January show? And then my other question to you, B, is, what do you think Microsoft needs to happen in 2023?
First, I haven't heard anything about a January show. I think Ingrid Greenberg kind of alluded to them having something coming pretty soon, which, if it's January, February, whatever the case may be, that's fine. But I just feel like their messaging is really inconsistent. They don't know what direction they're trying to take this brand, really. They have a lot of things going on as far as trying to get this acquisition done and, studios not being able to get games out on time and, struggling to use in-house engines and whatnot. So, they have a lot of stuff they have to kind of clean up on the back end. And I think that's one of the reasons why we haven't seen, some of the games that we've expected to see. The Fables, the Perfect Darks, a lot of games that have been announced for years, Hellblade, and we, they were announced and then kind of went into the shadows. And it's been years and we still haven't seen anything, in regards to those games. So, hopefully, they do have something coming up at the beginning of the year and, kind of set off, the 2023, rollout and, kind of get things going and kick Xbox into gear as far as, what a lot of us kind of expected, as far as having one major game released from first party per quarter. Hopefully they're able to achieve that goal in a timely manner, and they can consistently add great content to Game Pass, and if they get this deal done, that will help facilitate that as well. But until that takes place, I don't have much confidence in what Xbox is doing as far as putting out content. Um, but in 2023, they have to deliver games. I mean, if you look at what they have going on, if they didn't buy Bethesda, where would Xbox be at right now?
They wouldn't have any.
They wouldn't have anything.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to, yeah, they. I mean, they would have had like Pentiment and
Yeah, they wouldn't have
but
Pentiment. They wouldn't
yeah.
have they wouldn't have
Well, if they didn't buy Obsidian, yeah.
yeah. I mean, they wouldn't have Starfield. They wouldn't have Redfall. They wouldn't have um what's the two games that PlayStation had on lock first?
Ghostwire and
Yeah, Ghostwire and
what's the other one? Oh my God, what's the game?
the Arcane
Deathloop.
game.
Deathloop.
Yeah, Deathloop. Yeah, you know what I mean. So like, what would Xbox be doing if they didn't buy Bethesda? You know what I mean? Like,
Telling you to wait.
they would be in the world. We would be looking at Phil Spencer like he was crazy if they didn't buy Bethesda. 'Cause what else have they done? Nothing. You know what I mean? Like there's been nothing else to even talk about in regards to Microsoft games without the Bethesda deal. You know what I mean? So it's like I expect way more. In 2023. Of course, the first two games that are coming should be the Bethesda titles, and then Forza was announced to be coming as well from first party. So we'll see what happens with the rest of their first party content. You know what I mean? They have over 20 studios, yet we have no idea what's going on. Kind of beyond these first 6 months. So I guess we'll have to kind of wait and see. Hopefully, this supposed show at the beginning of the year kind of lays things out for us a little further in the future, and then we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, but B, I feel like what you kind of just said is kind of like we've been saying for like the last 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, and I at this point I can only judge them on what they've been doing and what they've shown. I don't have a whole lot of faith right now. Just based on what they've shown us the last couple of years. And I look, I get it. I get that they've acquired studios. Okay, but
it's not even about them acquiring studios.
Yeah,
There's like PlayStation has acquired studios, and their first party output hasn't been the greatest either. You know what I mean? As far as like, all the studios that they purchase and when games come out and how long their development cycle is, you know what I mean? Like a lot of games take 4 or 5 years to come out, and they don't have the smaller projects that Microsoft does, the Pentiments and things like that, where they can kind of, you know what I mean, at least put something on your plate until the main course comes, you know what I mean? So but what they do kind of do to fulfill that need is they'll go out and get some third party content, some second party content, and ensure that the roadmap is kind of laid out, and there's always something to expect from PlayStation. And you can see that just going into their 2023. Like, we only know of one first party game, which is Spider-Man, but like you look at what they have coming out on PlayStation, it's like, oh well, they have Forspoken and they have Final Fantasy and they have, I mean, this and that, and it's like, oh, it looks like PlayStation has a lot of things going for it.
Yeah, they're launching a new gaming product with PSVR 2 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when you look at it, they have Call of the Mountain, which is coming from Firespite, and Spider-Man 2, which is coming from Insomniac. Yeah, I mean, so like, yeah, their first party output as we know it isn't, stellar or anything like that. But the other stuff that they have, assigned to come out on their platform kind of balances that out. So it doesn't feel like, oh, well, PlayStation isn't, giving us what we need.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, B. Let me go do a Hamp. What are your thoughts, Hamp, about 2023 for Microsoft or for Xbox?
I mean, what I mentioned on Twitter today is, there's a roadmap for half of the year. That's a step in the direction of the things that I cited that I was looking for, right, in 2022. My desire and expectation was that roadmap would have been scripted out further. But half of the year is a start. Hopefully maybe we'll get indications for the remainder of 2023. In this mythological show in January that's rumored.
It's happening, Hamp, I believe.
What I commented on today on Twitter was, right now, I'll believe the 2023 production pipeline when it's actually here. It's the plan for it really doesn't mean a whole lot because that's not shipped product. So there's nothing for me to comment on. There's nothing for me to ascribe kudos to for a good job for a critically released title that's been released. It's just the time to the time to heap praise based on vaporware and promises to me is over. There's a lot of commentary out in the space that ascribes a lot of value to the brand for hopes, projections, and predictions, but that's not tangible, right? We often talk in software, and particularly in software testing, software quality. We talk about objective quality evidence, and I don't have any OQE, right, for the production pipeline of Xbox. So when it shows up, I'll be here for it. I have an Xbox Series X sitting right over from me. I played on PC and have the Xbox Game Pass app loaded, just because that's the launcher that I play Xbox games through. I still put in plenty of time on Halo Infinite, but I don't have anything to show for some of the things that people are ascribing praise for. So when it gets here, then we'll have something tangible to talk about.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but that's kind of been like my point. Like it's hopes and dreams. I think I said this last Sunday, but I feel like it's kind of been like that. The talking point with a lot of people in the Xbox community, with some diehard podcasters. It's the future's bright and etc. And we got all these studios and but again, there's nothing there yet. But Falky, what are your thoughts, man?
Well, how long have you got?
Well, I know, Falky, that you probably think Microsoft should sell off the Xbox division, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Well, if they wanted, if the end result was for Microsoft to get rid of that headache without just turning it off, they could. I'm not saying that they will, but they could easily do a reverse merger and split it off and basically give it all to Activision. And make a profit doing it that way. But that's a complex issue that a lot of people aren't ready to talk about yet, but is certainly something that could happen. What does Xbox as its own unit, I suppose, is if I restrict it to just that. What do they do for 2023? Well, before I get into that, I should say if they don't present at is it CES? What's that thing called? So there's CES is at the start of January. If they don't have anything there, and they don't talk at the GDC at the end of March, if they haven't shown us anything about Starfield or Redfall in either of those places, I don't think we're seeing those games until September. I don't. Yeah, I've got some concerns around whether they are able to show us anything at either of those, but if they want to have their own show, that's great, but it'd be silly to not even talk about the games that are coming at the Game Awards. I'm surprised about that, because you'd be keen to get up and champion that with an audience of 100 million. Why wasn't somebody from Xbox standing there saying Starfield, Redfall? They're not going to get picked on any worse than they currently are. And it was quite disrespectful to their fan base to just show up with 5 Game Pass ads and that was pretty much it. But And that's something I think they really need to sort out. But yeah, 2023, they need to sort out their undesirability issue with third-party developers and indies. And I'm hearing it more and more and more that third-party developers, some of the major third-party developers, they don't want to do builds for Xbox because they have to do it for Series S, and that's hampering their development times and what they want to do with the games. That they have to build it to be able to go on Game Pass, and they don't want to do that. Again, it comes down to build designs and whatnot, and they're becoming more and more frequent, those comments, especially out of the Japanese developers. When they're doing some of the big Japanese 6 publishers are doing 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 games going to Xbox, and they're not even the bigger games, and that's a real problem for them. They need to sort that issue out. Be more approachable, I guess. They need to get back to their basics. They've got to deliver some games. And, everyone says, oh, yeah, but there's plenty of games coming to Game Pass and they have all these games available. It's like, you could put 50 shovelware games on there. Is that a good thing? Not really. Get some games like High on Life. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's done really well for a reason. Unfortunately, that reason is there's bugger all else on there to play that's new and that's at a high level like that. Now, it's got plenty of good colours in it. It's got a pretty decent fun gameplay loop in it. There's just a general lack of top level games in their services and on there for sale outside of the usual stuff. So they just need to get back to basics and just deliver some games with all these studios, all these relationships that they could be leveraging on. They just don't seem to be doing it. And that's another point. They need to invest in their strengths. They need to invest in they've got cloud technology, they've got development tools, they can streamline their processes. They own the PC operating systems. They are doing a terrible job at leveraging off the strengths that they have across the broader Microsoft segment, and they're just not performing to it. Then they've got a massive amount of marketing goodwill through so many different organisations that they could just be, they could be really pushing it there. I mean, they don't need to spend millions and millions of dollars like Sony does on marketing, because Xbox has got such a great grassroots core following, and their influencers and their whatever that other thing they call ambassadors programs, that they could quite easily get a high return on for a minimal investment in just leveraging that. But they've got to have something for them to talk about other than wait for Starfield, wait for Redfall, wait for this, wait for that. Like, give them something tangible to work with. They need to get some new leadership. Now, whether people agree or disagree, I think Phil's just about done his course. He seems to be tired. He doesn't have the drive. He doesn't have that spark about him. He looked at the Game Awards. He looked like a man who'd been beaten with a stick for 6 hours. Like he was knackered. Sarah Bond's sitting next to him, bright, bubbly, happy, ready to go all on it, and Phil's just sitting there as if he's saying, "Why the fuck am I even here?" So, get some more people in there with a bit more, I don't know, energy. Whether that means Phil takes the back seat or Phil gets promoted or Phil just says, "Thank you very much, they're going to wander off and do something else." They can't keep hanging, their customer base and their fans can't keep hanging everything on Phil as if he's still the saviour when he's got nothing really left to work with. So get some more leadership in there, pick some good ones, stick with the good ones you've got, give a bit of a refresh, throw the ball up in the air and see what happens. It's a good time to try it because they're not going to lose an awful lot. And that finally, they need to rebuild their identity. Who are Xbox? What are Xbox fans? They are. What is Xbox? It used to be Xbox was the place you could go for the great first-person shooters, had awesome Western RPGs, and they had some pretty interesting niche games. And they were a place that was an alternative to Sony or Nintendo. These days, I don't know. I talk to kids that are getting into gaming, and I say, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. And they go, "What's Xbox?" Like, how do you not know who Xbox is? Oh, we don't know anything about Halo. We or Halo Infinite apparently is a rubbish game. We prefer to play Fortnite and stuff like that. It's like they lost their identity and they really need to get that back. How they do any of that stuff, I really don't know. Like, there's a monumental task there, and they really should start talking about rebuild. They shouldn't be talking about, oh wait, we'll wait, we'll get it, wait, we'll get it, wait, we'll get it. No, it's time to cut the bullshit. They need to rebuild it because at the moment they're running in all directions and going nowhere.
Hey, just wanted to step in. So there's a few comments going around in chat. So I think Captain Crunch. I used to be of the same mind, and we've been talking about kind of where Falky went with what happens here in the near future with Phil Spencer, and leadership of Microsoft Games. So I think Phil's going to retire in about 4 years. And in 4 years he'll be 58, and I think he'll be ready to move on. I too used to also think Sarah Bond. I used to campaign pom pom for her to be the successor. Sarah Bond actually, I think, reports up through Dave McCarthy, who is the head of Xbox operations. So in the tier below Spencer, you've got McCarthy, Booty, and Chowdhury. None of them are hardware experts, and so I don't believe it. Any of the three of them have kind of looked at things from a product management perspective in getting ready for the launch of a new console. What may have started off as a joke, the thing I dropped into chat is the vector now that I'm championing, which is that Xbox has a lot of financial challenges that it navigates and survives on the back of the multi-trillion-dollar company behind them. Which I don't think is a great competitive basis for going head to head with Sony, and other competitors. So one of the things I've been commenting on is if you look at Strauss Zelnick's interview that he did on the BRAP earlier this fall, I think you'll get some insight into kind of how he views financial management, portfolio management of a gaming corporation, and actually what I really think is the best thing for Microsoft is when Phil gets ready to make his exit, pay whatever they need to pay to bring Strauss in. Strauss is older. He is not the future of Xbox, but I think bringing him in, and Falky and I have talked a lot about that, what Microsoft really needs is discipline. Bring Strauss in, let him build that framework of discipline, that framework of corporate governance, give him a protege who would be groomed to take over for him. Don't leave him in place for a super long period of time, right? We're talking about having him be the CEO of Microsoft Games for 2 years, maybe 3 years, at most 4, but definitely in that 4th year, have that protege who could, be somebody like me, for instance, have them come in and step in and start that, and start executing that succession planning to have that person step up. Sarah, I think Sarah does a great job at what she does. From my view, I think her strength is in building relationships. I think she brought them the Sega deal. I think her strength is in building those relationships with external studios and partnerships, and I think that's solid and good in that they definitely need that for having that strong third-party support. But she doesn't have a software development background, a game development background, and as far as I can tell, doesn't necessarily have the financial management and product management background to really steer the whole ship. Sorry, just to cap off on that, that's the issue they have. They have a person in Phil who's done a communications technologies major degree and then gotten all his business experience from being promoted up through Xbox as their leader. Now, he might be championing and all understanding with software development, but that doesn't make him an excellent business person. And I think that's where the mismatch is at the moment with Xbox. Whereas Dave McCarthy, he's an Ivy Business School graduate. Sarah Bond is a Harvard Business School graduate. So they've both got that grounding and experience outside of Microsoft before they got there, in other organizations running those businesses. So, and Strauss is, if you look at what his pedigree is, he's not, yes, he's old because he graduated
did a dual degree, Harvard Law and Harvard Business, graduated in '83. So he's an old school Harvard. This is back when they used to do 60, 70, 80 hours a week in studying for one degree. Like, he's old school Harvard Business, one of the best trained in the business there is. So you got somebody like that, and then had a protege like, even if it was Sarah, or somebody else that they just brought in from cold, which I think they need to do, because there's too many bad habits there. I don't think they could even promote anyone up out of their own internal studios like Sony did with Herman. I think they'd have to either look at somebody maybe at Bethesda being brought up as the protege, or going and poaching someone from elsewhere. But they certainly lack that killer instinct at the top level of that segment. And I've seen plenty of reports, and reports that I would accept as being factual, coming through from a lot of the back channel financial stuff that I get to read in journals and communications, and that Phil gets walked all over in board meetings. He gets absolutely pantsed at the board meetings by some of the other segment bosses, which is why him getting this Activision thing across the line so quickly is both amazing and quite suspicious at times, because he's pinched an awful lot of money from others on a pretense that he could get this thing done, and he certainly pissed off a lot of other people around the table. So, but change out of leadership is not a bad thing. Everybody, and this is controversial, but I don't rank Trenton and House all that highly from Sony, and I think Sean Layton had quite an easy run. As much as I appreciate everything he's done, I don't think he's had anywhere near as tough as what Ryan's had to deal with, or what Jack Trenton had to deal with when he was the boss. So, yeah,
I was never impressed with Sean Layden. He just never spoke to me, right, as a gamer or whatever. I mean, even that the one E3 really that I remember him really showing up, he just kind of showed up to introduce trailers, and and then after that it was a bunch of mealy mouth double speak about crossplay and things like that, which shuffled in the mealy mouth double speak era that was the start of the Jim Ryan run. And I think, for all the things that, people dislike about Jim Ryan, and I think there's a lot of things that I dislike, he again, we go back to that talking discipline, once you kind of get out of your own way, right, talking straight, and, you may dislike the policies, and the consumer-facing stuff from PlayStation, but at least at this point in the generation, and it was not this way at the start. At least at this point in the generation, I have what I feel like is a very straight stick message on what the expectations are, and what policies are going to be. Right, you're going to pay for stuff, but again, lots of people don't like that. But look, at the beginning of the generation, it was always, well, you're going to pay this, and this is the upgrade path, and these are the 19 different ways to, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, geez, like, you guys are just making a problem out of a thing that's not a problem. And it's only a problem because you keep yapping about it and you keep coming up with a convoluted way to convey it. But at this point, it's just like, look, games are $70, period. We're not going to talk about it. If you don't like it, don't buy it. And there's value in that, right, in clearing up consumer confusion and kind of, kicking the legs out from underneath the people who want to make an issue out of a thing that maybe isn't as big of an issue.
And that's what's killing.
Hey, real quick, I want to get Forte in here. Forte just joined us a couple minutes ago. What's up, Forte?
Yo, first of all, I would like to say happy birthday to my beautiful wife.
Happy birthday, Miss Forte. Mrs. Forte.
Yeah, Mrs. Forte. She upstairs partying, and I hear the roof is shaking literally right now.
Well, Forte, why aren't you up there celebrating with her, man?
Because so there's a whole bunch of other females here too. So it's like when
Forte,
all the females
you need to send them home, man.
No, listen,
You got to send them home singing, "Ooh yeah,
ooh yeah, nothing." I know my lane. I know my lane. When you get that many that much in one room, it's time to pick your fights another day.
Forte's like, I'm going to live another day. I'm not going to be on the couch tonight.
No, not gonna be on the couch, and I don't know how long this is gonna go for. So I'm like, yep. I heard you guys in here talking. I was like, yeah, let me go. It's like the time went by so fast. I was like, oh shoot, BRAP is on. Let me go down there. I said, this is just like my great escape for a second.
No worries, man. No worries. But So Forte, what are your thoughts, man? I don't know how much of the conversation you heard. We're just talking about Xbox.
The year in review from Microsoft.
Yeah, like they look, and I said this earlier. They need a good 2023.
What?
They need to have a good 2023, man.
They need more than a good 23. They need a good 23. They need a good beginning of 23, middle, end, good 24, 25. They got to get on a track. They got to start running marathons out here because let's just be for real. Like, I think the biggest thing for me with this, I think myself and a lot of other, Xbox fans have gotten to the point where you hear the promises so much and all you keep hearing and seeing is disappointment at the end of the year. But it's like
Forte, I don't want to interrupt you real quick. I get that some of that's a lot of that's coming from Microsoft, but I think a lot of it too is also the community. It's the Xbox centric podcasts who are pom-pomming and cheerleading that every year we see this. They are consistently driving up the hype, setting this unrealistic expectation.
It is, but that's the thing though. It's not like Microsoft doesn't actually feed into that too though.
No, I don't disagree. I think they absolutely do, but I think it's a two-pronged issue.
I understand. No, you're right about that. But anybody, like, I'm gonna tell you, just like I tell everybody else, anybody that listens to another person's opinion that got something to do with that is talking about a conversation about something that has nothing to do with them, and they're basically injecting themselves into the conversation like they know what's going on. If you're willing to listen to those people and take those people at face value in what they say, who's the fool? That's how I look at it. So I don't really look at, as much as I respect a lot of different people's podcasts and listen to them, it's all entertainment. Like, this podcast is entertainment. We don't know the inner workings of what's happening at Microsoft. So the things that we talk about are what our opinions are. If you want to know what our opinions are, it's great. That's what we talk about every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever day you decide to turn on YouTube and listen to a podcast. But ultimately, you make your own decisions. This goes also back to 2020, like 2020, when people were talking about why buy an Xbox or why buy a next gen system. And the first thing I was telling people then, and I'm going to stay super consistent with it, don't buy these brand new systems until you have a reason to buy them. That's what is your reason for buying these systems? And that's what people can say, well, you're trying to blame it on consumers and all this other stuff. I was like, no, don't worry about until they give you a reason. Like Microsoft, and I told people 100%, Microsoft still to this day in 2022 still hasn't officially themselves shown me the reason why I should have an Xbox Series X in my house. I tell, and I'm 100%, and I will stay consistent on it. The reason I have one is because Bungie came out and said, hey, next gen update, we're going to do 60 frames per second, FOV slider, and I didn't want to play on PC no more. So I was like, yes, I'm going to play Destiny.
Blasphemy.
That's the reason I did it.
That's a you problem.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But see, yeah, but that's the biggest thing, though. Ultimately, what was the reason I made the decision to buy the system? So that's why I'm not really upset in general. That's why you don't really see me yelling about what Microsoft is doing, because Microsoft still hasn't done anything to make me feel like, oh, Xbox is the best place to be. It just happened to be that Xbox is my preferred platform. I like the controller more than I like the PlayStation 5 controller, because I like, offset thumbsticks instead of inline, and 90% of my friends play on the Xbox platform, so I just go there by default. But what are they doing to bring more people into the ecosystem on a consistent basis? What have they done since 2020 to make you feel like, well, Game Pass, yeah, but after a certain time, what about all? So we were talking about it last week. All of these games all these studios they purchased. We knew the first, couple of years was going to be kind of dry, because a lot of those studios in 2017 already released games. So we knew that they were going to be like, okay, they're going to hit the drawing board all over again, and we're going to have to start waiting for them to either release their games, and we need to start seeing what these other studios are going to be doing. And now we're at the 5-year mark. When we get to E3 of next year, that will literally be 5 years that Microsoft has been in control of all of those first 17 studios that they purchased. We're not even talking about Bethesda at this point. We're talking about the initial draw of studios that they purchased. It will be 5 years. And what have we seen outside of, you know, have we seen? Okay, we seen what, 2 things of Hellblade. We keep waiting for that to happen. We're still wondering what's happening with the initiative, and we got Crystal Dynamic out there basically being Platinum Games and helping develop games for everybody, and they're being stretched thin all over the place. You see that they're actually working for Amazon too. So it's just a simple fact that, okay, so what's really going on? And then we got the issues I mean, we don't know what the internal workings are that's going over at Playground, but we hear that they got development problems with the simple fact that they're being forced into making a game in an engine that they may not need to be making a game in. We don't know any of this because Microsoft isn't talking about any of this stuff. They're not showing any of this stuff. And then you got Matt Booty out here talking about, I can't wait to show you the games. I can't wait to show you the games. But then you skip an entire Game Awards and show nothing but Game Pass ads. And then you got games like Redfall that's coming out next year, supposedly early 2023. You got Starfield early, like mid 2023. And we even said it when they first announced it, like all those games ain't coming out in the beginning of the year. It's just not going to happen. What's going to happen at the end of the year? So does that basically move the goalposts on games like Avowed and Fable? What do we really? So I'm tired of like wondering and hoping with Microsoft. I'm just tired of that. So in general, I just want them to put up or shut up at this point. It's really Phil Spencer's out there talking. I love listening to Phil Spencer interviews and stuff, but I finally got to the point like Slow-Mo. That man just needs to stop talking to people because it's just like Halo.
Slow-Mo saying that, yeah.
Well, it's just like Halo for me, because I said this the moment that Halo dropped and they showed it the way that they showed it. I said, this game needs to go 0 Dark 30 for at least a year and a half. But you know what? It's not, because that's their biggest flagship game, and they got to give you update after update after update, and then they want to sell you coffee mugs and T-shirts for 20th anniversary. So that's why you got that. T-shirts. That's why you got that game pushed out the gate, because they wanted to coincided with the release of the 20th anniversary, and look where Halo is now. So the biggest thing ultimately comes down to, they just need to be quiet, put their heads down, do a No Man's Sky, and not talk to us until you can actually and factually show us games and a reason we own these platforms. Because we're almost at a point now, BRAP, 3 years into the generation, what do they usually start talking about in 3 years, BRAP? They start talking about not next gen hardware, like upgrades to your hardware. They talking about we got more. It seems like we got more revisions on controllers this generation than we got actual plausible, really good games this year.
But Forte, you said this generation was going to go on long because of all the shortages of chips and whatnot.
It still is going to go on long, but so instead of it being 3 years and they start talking about 3 years and they start talking about mid-gen refreshes, they're going to do it at 4 or 5. But is that fair to the people that put money into your platform for the last 3 years and haven't gotten really anything from you? So you're going to start talking about new stuff in year 4 and year 5, and then you're going to turn around that next year like, hey, remember that beautiful game called Starfield that we released in 2023, maybe the beginning of 2024? We want you to play that game better in 2025 on this brand new piece of hardware, but you only gave us 1 or 2 games to show that the game could even do it. So that's where I'm at now. I'm literally right there with that conversation. It just they need to hit pause and say, we need to fix this game situation we got going on, because at a certain point it makes you feel like they're just moving. It's like we got them right where we want them. They're in Game Pass. All our games are going in there. That's the selling point. That's what's going to get people in the door. But what's going to keep you there? That's where I'm at with them with 2023. 2022. 2022 is just a bunch of misses and mispromises where it feels like we're just been in this infinite holding pattern. Like we're sitting above Los Angeles and it's snowing and it doesn't snow in Los Angeles. Why are we in the sky? They don't want to tell you what the truth is, it seems.
It sounds like a movie, Forte.
It is a movie. It was a really good movie, by the way. Actually, it was a movie. It was a Christmas movie, but it was made in the summer. But whatever.
Summer.
this summer.
I think your prediction is incorrect on the outlook of the generation. I was actually pulling the thread because I thought you were finally seeing the light and recalibrating your expectations back to the timeline that they should be on. But I think your heart's in the right place.
No.
Forte's heart's always in the right place.
Their timeline is just all jacked up at this point. It's like they just, like I said, at this point, everything just needs to hold. Everything needs to hold but games.
Yeah,
we don't need to talk about nothing else but games. And if you can't talk about games, then don't say nothing.
Yeah.
At this point.
Real quick, let me get the super chat from Rodimus. Thank you, Rodimus, for the $2 super chat. It says, Forte, no more Destiny in 2023, my brother. I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, he got me to not stream Destiny in our on our the podcast until the end of the year. So if he doesn't want me to play Destiny in 2023, it's going to take a very lofty super chat for that to happen. I actually might make a tier for that on my podcast. Something like $400 or $500 to make me delete all my Destiny characters. Because if I ever do that, I will never go back. If somebody would pay me $500 to delete all my characters, that would be like the weight of God lifted off me.
Loud backups, mate.
So one thing I want to comment on, because I see indications of a certain trend in a lot of communities and conversations that I typically see. I mean, when we talk about where the two companies are, and I don't necessarily feel like every day I don't read the news and see what comes out and say, oh well, Sony pulled another 500 meters ahead of Xbox, right? Or or Xbox is pulling ahead, whatever. I mean that jockeying in that race positioning is only relevant 2 times out of the year at a max. But what I get, I don't know if frustrated is the right word. Yeah, I'll say frustrated. In trying to have a conversation with other people about it is, like it or not, like the games or not, the fact of the matter is that, Sony has metrics that prove where they are in the industry, right? They have their revenue, they have their game sales numbers, and those things to me, as somebody who looks at numbers and facts, are not arguable. We do a lot of caveating, right? Sony released, this game and that game and this game and that game are only that, right? It's only a remaster, or it's only a thing. I'm like, who cares, right? Who cares? They have revenue, which is in excess of Microsoft games revenue. They have sales numbers, which is in excess of Microsoft sales numbers, right? And so we do all of this attempt to qualify and take things away from the facts of the industry, right, where they are in performance. One of the things that I struggled with today, and it's the thing that I mentioned when I first came onto the show, was there's a vigorous thread of people trying to lather themselves up with what I think is green colored soap, saying that according to the developer of WRC Generations,
that's Irish Spring out here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that Irish Spring Hemp?
According to developer of WRC Generations, Xbox Series X GPU is better than PlayStation 5's, but harder to exploit. And this is the type of thing where I go, who cares? Right. And I know what the point of this thread is. The point of this thread is to try and build up the foundational argument, right, to platform off of that, hey, even though things aren't going great now, over the course of this generation, eventually Xbox is going to catch up because people are going to learn how to use the hardware, and then they're going to be able to capitalize on the greater performance capability of hardware and pull ahead, in air quotes. And again, I say, who cares, right? First of all, you don't code directly to hardware. You code predominantly to APIs, right? Unless you're doing something really super special. Those APIs come with the SDK. All of that is DirectX, right? That is the same thing that you're coding to on PC. So there is no, like, the Xbox is more difficult to capture the power of its hardware over when you're concurrently releasing a game for both PC and Xbox, right? It's the same. Then on top of that, we point at the development studio for WRC Generations. Look, I play WRC Generations, and this is one of the things that frustrates me because I think tons of the people in this thread don't play WRC Generations and don't play its counterparts, right, in Dirt Rally. WRC Generations is a great game. I love them. Those games typically review in the 70 to low 80 band. They're not the most performant games. They have had tons of graphic problems. There's tons of pop-in. Those 3 titles, and I haven't played WRC Generations yet, don't perform at the same level of graphical fidelity as Dirt. I think the most recent 2 games are better than Dirt 5 overall, but they don't perform at the same level of graphical fidelity. So why are you going to reach and grab a soundbite from a studio that hasn't made games that perform at the level as other games, right? And then stand on that as a platform, as a reason, dare I say an excuse, for Microsoft being in 3rd place now. That is the type of delusional, like, tomfoolery, right, that makes it really difficult to try and have a rational conversation with people, right, about things of this nature. So, you know, again, we
conversation.
We can make up all the reasons, like, why, right? Like, you know, again, why Sony's first, why Microsoft is third. To me, none of it matters. All that matters is that there's a company that is selling stuff and is making more money, right, than another division who is not. And that's the only thing that matters, and that's the only thing that needs to be corrected. Now, in the meantime, as a consumer and as a fan, you can love Xbox, right? And you can ignore the sales numbers, and you can ignore the technology, and you can ignore all the other stuff, which, quite frankly, we talk about a lot on this podcast because this is more of an industry news podcast than, right, a games review podcast, and that's how we do that deliberately. And you can do that, and you can do that without trying to have an argument, and without making up excuses, and without trying to, you know, puff out your chest and you know, be the Class A citizen in the high school, like, hallway, right, by the lockers, right? Just love what you love and go play what you love, but don't make up delusional, ridiculous, irrational, unfounded, unsubstantiated stuff in an effort to make your case provable when it's not. That makes you not credible.
So I want to go back to what you just said about 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. Because I really, really, really agree with that, and why people, I don't know why people try to use that as the measuring stick and stuff like that. For the 7th generation, 360, PS3, and Wii, where did Microsoft finish in that race?
You said 7th generation, right?
Yeah, 360, PS3, Wii.
I mean, different people have different arguments.
Numbers wise speak. What number?
I believe I look at it as that they wound up equal. PlayStation 3 may have been just slightly ahead, but not to a significant threshold.
Not a significant threshold, but the fact is Microsoft finished 3rd. But people will still tell you, and I agree, most people, and even PlayStation fans will most likely agree and say that Microsoft had the better generation, even though they finished 3rd place that generation, because Sony finished 2nd, but Sony had an amazing finish to the year where Microsoft's the gen where, you know, Microsoft kind of throttled down for the gen to get ready for the Xbox One gen. But nobody cared about Microsoft finishing 3rd because Microsoft had amazing freaking games there that generation, like all the 3rd parties and stuff that they were partnering with, all of the opportunities they had to just delight people in playing games in any way that they wanted to. When it came to that, people enjoyed that. They didn't care about the fact that Microsoft lost ground to PlayStation at the end, because guess what? PlayStation finally got their head out of their ass and decided to give you really good, compelling games at the end of the generation, and that's what they actually ushered in with the next generation when it comes to Last of Us and Uncharted and everything. They did exactly what Microsoft did at the beginning, and then Microsoft lost the ability for some reason in the 8th generation, and PlayStation was like, well, we're just going to take it straight from the Microsoft playbook, and we're just going to, continue to, foster the ability to make games with our first party platforms. And we're just going to start going out there and getting 3rd party and 2nd party deals. And Microsoft's just going to stop doing it. And that's when for some reason, I just truly believe that Microsoft just gave up in 2011. when it came to Xbox in general, and it feels like they didn't really start taking it really serious again until 2015.
Yeah, and kind of what you said, right? I mean, and in seventh generation, the same thing that I'm saying now about Xbox fans, I said about PlayStation fans, right? When PlayStation fans in seventh generation used to run their mouth about trying to, kick the legs out from underneath the table, right? About Xbox games, I'm like, you could say all you want to and say all your caveats you want to, but Killzone is not a Halo killer,
No,
right? So why are you like, look? PlayStation fans at the time, if you love what you love, just love what you love and shut up, right? Don't make irrational, unfounded arguments that don't mean anything. My feeling about Microsoft going into Generation 8 was,
the Direct was the worst thing that ever happened to that company.
Well, right. Well, I mean, and Don Matrick happened to them.
It was like the best thing that happened, but the worst thing, because they proved that they could sell a secondary, proprietary unit outside of the console, but they sold it so well they built their next system around it, which was the problem.
Yeah, and there's been some good out of that, just in terms of how that technology has filtered out to other things, yes. and that's great. But my thing was, and I wrote about this on Twitter a while ago, that we often don't look back. Well, we look at teams' performance and we look at the sociology of teams' performance. We often don't necessarily look. I mean, an interesting thing to look at is, what is the leadership debt? What is the performance debt that's created and left behind when you have the wrong person in place for a period of time, right? And you look at snapshots of when, coaches have come in, right, that have just nosedived a team. And how much time does it take them to recover? In the NFL often talks about rebuilding years. Sometimes it's not a rebuilding year. Sometimes it's a rebuilding, half decade or so. And that to me is a little bit of what went on with Xbox. It was a lot of trying to build up Phil Spencer and trying to build the scaffolding around him and try to build the support infrastructure around him. But like you said, Forte, my feeling is, a lot of that started to snap into place in the 2017 and 2018, and great flipping Scott if it's damn not well in place now, right? Like, all of the buttons, levers, switches, and dials that need to be pushed, toggled, rolled, and switched and flipped, right, have been placed at that division's disposal. And failing to deliver, right, the things that inspire confidence around its consumer base. Confidence based on, again, tangible, objective fact, not based on hopes and wishes, is a thing that definitely should be called into question.
Yeah, real quick, I want to go to, hold on a sec here. Is Falky still with us? I see he's still there, but.
Yeah, mate.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do this trivia question here. Hold on a sec here.
It's trivia time.
It's trivia time. Yeah. All right. So we all remember the Video Game Awards. When they announced the Game of the Year awards or nominees, they had the band play, the orchestra play. And there was a gentleman there who was just going ham. This guy was going nuts. He played a flute. He played a couple other instruments. He had longer hair. He was just, you couldn't miss him. I mean, he was just, my man was in the zone. He was like shaking his head. Huh?
The man had a lot of Red Bull.
He had a lot of Red Bull, yeah. So the trivia question is, what was the name of that individual at the Game Awards? We actually dubbed him the flute player. What was that individual's name at the Game Awards? Whoever guesses that question. Oh, all right. Never mind. Jason Ames got it right. Over. Yeah, it's already over. Jason Ames got it.
Pedro.
That was fast. Yeah, his name is Pedro. He's what is that? Eustache, I think, is how you pronounce it. I think. He said I looked it up. The guy was a machine. He was a machine, Jason. Jason, do me a favor. DM me BRAP_podcast. And I will, and then that way we can connect. And I can get you you can either pick a Xbox digital gift card or a PlayStation digital gift card, and then I could DM you the code for that. But you have to DM me. You have to DM me on Twitter at BRAP_podcast on Twitter. So I'll keep an eye out for that, Jason. Wow, yeah, that was fast. But yeah, Wooly Gamer with the $5 super chat. What's up, Wooly? Wooly, hope you and the family are doing well. Hope you all are ready for the holidays. Wooly Gamer with the $5 super chat, or £5 super chat, I should say. Says, shout out to my brother Falky, the GOAT, the legend BRAP. Keep giving those who know what. I'm not going to repeat what he said. They're talking about a platform. Awesome work. I think TF means, yeah. Hey, Wooly, thank you for that super chat. I appreciate it. As always, hope you have a. Yeah, cheers to you, Wooly. Hope you and yours have a happy holidays as well, sir. So thank you. Yeah, look. Again, holidays are here. I want to thank everyone in the live chat. Number one, for hanging out with us. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a BRAP next week. I'm still kind of up in the air because I'm off that week, so I don't know. I don't know what I'll be doing. I might be doing some gaming, hanging out with the kids. Who knows? Maybe a little traveling. Maybe at a brewery or two. I don't know. But I don't know. I'll let you know. Give me a follow on Twitter at BRAP_podcast. That way you keep up to you're up to speed with show times and things like that. If we in fact do go live next week, if I do a regular show Wednesday, I may do some kind of BRAP brand or something. So, but look, again, everyone, thank you so much in the live chat for hanging out with us this evening. Means a lot to us, and want to wish everyone a happy holidays as well. And to the panel, big shout out to the panel here tonight, and to Slubmo Backslap, who couldn't make it tonight. I want to say thank you to the panel. There'd be no BRAP without you gentlemen. So thank you again. And I want to give a big thank you to our guest, who is literally on the other side of the globe, David Faulkner. Falky, as we call him. Falky, it's always a pleasure having you. Thank you again. I appreciate you coming on tonight.
That's all good. Thank you for letting me just show up when I realized you were flying solo.
No, thank you. It was great having you on as always. And again, I really do appreciate you jumping in when you saw me when you saw me solo. So thank you again. I appreciate that. And we'll have to get you on again soon. I know we had you on this past Sunday. It was a great show. If you didn't catch last Sunday's show, please check that out. That's actually on the BRAP YouTube page. You'll see that. Now I forget the title of that show. The title of that show is the Activision deal actually good for gamers? So we had Falky on talk with us. We had Warrior on. We had Gaming Forte, and we had Hap on with us as well. It was a great, very great. It was a great show. So definitely check that out. But Falky, thank you again, and happy holidays to you as well, sir. Then we got my man B Muddy, who's been B, you've been with us for 7 years, man. Thank you again, as always, B. Always a pleasure. Thank you for introducing me to the shoe game. I am literally looking for shoes like a lot now. It's hard not to pull the trigger, man.
It becomes a drug, man.
It is.
It becomes a drug over time, man.
And you know what, B? I'm actually coming across friends that are actually catching on to this now.
Yeah, man.
Oh, what's that?
Buying like new shoes, and it all like.
Oh, I had my 11 cherries on today.
Woof.
Those boys hard.
I tell you, B, the people that have started buying shoes now, I tell you what, it's because they're like, they're close to my age, so a lot of it's been nostalgia for them. So it started with the Jordan 1s.
Yeah, of course, man. That's where it starts for a lot of people. Those are Nike Dunks. Anything that's from the 80s, early 90s period. That's the stuff that people our age are going after, and Nike and Jordan Brand are doing a really really good job of bringing those silhouettes back, and then you have companies like New Balance who are making like the dad shoe cool again. You know what I mean? So we're at to the age now where we want to walk around with something comfortable on our feet. So now that New Balance is kind of understanding that and making some lifestyle models, it makes it a lot easier.
Those 327 New Balances, man.
Yeah, man.
Oh man, bro,
Perfect, man.
I love the different color schemes those shoes come in.
Yeah, yeah. Massive colors, you know what I mean? Any color you're looking for, you could probably find it
And
in
they're
that shoe.
comfortable.
They're comfortable, you know what I mean? You can wear them things all day. You know what I mean? So I've been in the sneaker game for a very long time. I'm probably 25 years in, if not longer. You know
Woo!
what I mean?
Oh my
My
goodness.
wife would tell you, I if you could see a picture of my room, I got like 10 or 15 pair of shoes sitting in the middle of my floor right now, just from different wears and not putting them back in the box and putting them away and stuff like that. And you know,
What?
my wife, she knows my love language. She partakes and buys me sneakers too. So anytime, like I told you this morning, I was on my phone at 3 a.m. this morning, just searching, looking on sold links, looking at sneaker shouts. You know what I mean? It's the perfect time of year for sneaker restocks. So, I'm trying to hit all the links. Get the stuff that I missed out on. Um, yeah, man, it's definitely a drug. It's a passion I've had for a very long time.
Yeah.
I've always said like, chicks, kicks, and video games are like my three biggest hobbies. And unfortunately, I'm married now, so it's like that one kind of got knocked off the board. But it's always gonna be kicks and video games, and
Yeah.
I love those things till I die, man.
Yeah.
You
No,
guys
no
got
doubt.
you guys got Hamp buying shoes,
Yeah,
buying
Hamp,
sneakers.
Hamp was out there DMing today, like the Jordans.
Yeah,
I
man.
got them, man. They'll be here just after the start of the new year. My first pair.
Oh, you got them.
See?
Nice.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, that wasn't propaganda I was posting. That was a purchase from my receipt.
Oh man, that's that.
What did
Yeah,
you, which one did you get?
I got the Air Jordan 1 High G's.
Ooh, man. Those
I actually surprised myself. I bought them and then realized, like, after I started digging around for it, I was like, oh wait, these just came out like a
man.
day ago. Like they're yeah. I'm pretty happy with myself.
Yeah.
I almost went and got those. If it wasn't for the fact I just bought those cherries, and then I bought the black, red, and blue, the Chicago's earlier this year. I was like, oh man, they will take your money. They will.
Yeah. It's definitely an investment. You know what I mean? I've got thousands and thousands of dollars worth of shoes in my house, but it is what it is. If you ever see me out, you will see me in something different every day. Just
Wow.
I switch it up like that. And I get every brand. You know what I mean? Even brands people don't really talk about, like Diodora.
Yo,
Carhu.
Diodoras are like I see those now. Diodoras are Diodoras are nice.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Be when I had my eyes on some Diodoras the other day, man.
Yeah, man. I get everything. You know what I mean?
Don't let that man's basketball hat fool you.
Exactly.
man.
Yeah.
I'm a veteran in the sneaker game, so anytime people want to talk sneakers, man, I'm always down to do it. I listen to a lot of sneaker podcasts. I go to sneaker events. I go to
Nice.
the sneaker ball every year. They have it here in Ohio. Everybody gets dressed up. Suit and tie event.
Oh, I forgot
we
you
put
were
on
in
our fly sneakers. You know what I mean? Like there's a pretty solid group of sneakerheads in Ohio, and we get busy. So
Oh,
the
wow.
only person in
Hold on, man.
the whole state of Ohio that I can respect is me.
There's sneaker podcasts.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Man, I follow sneaker heads on Twitter, bro.
Yes.
I'm learning. That thread that you guys posted amazed me today. When I went to that thread and I was like, hold on, dude, this is like console wars. People in here arguing over these shoes.
They all back me up on this. The sneaker market, the value of that particular part of the industry in shoes is, I think, second only to high-end stilettos or something like that.
Sir.
Really?
Yep, it's huge, it's massive, and people that collect them, they will have seen plenty of this stuff because he follows it. I'm not an avid follower, but I keep across different industries. There's people that have been collecting sneakers that have got limited editions. They bought them for like $1,000 and they're worth $10,000 or $15,000 now, and they do it for retirement they'll have a big auction and sell them off every 10 or 12 years, and then go out and buy another set.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wow, that's wild.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think it's top 10 collection, like cars and handbags and stuff like that. It's one of the top 10 collectible, like money making collectible ventures out there at the moment. So
that's wild. Wow.
So B, so these Diodoras you buy it's the sportswear line that you buy?
So I buy the V, what is the V9000, the V7000, and the S8000. So it's like the lifestyle models.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
has anybody got a pair of Dunlop volleys?
No, I
nope.
do not have those,
Nope.
but I know a couple people that do.
They're a very popular shoe over here in Australia.
Yeah.
Hey, B, Diodora brings you back to my
That's the Wu-Tang days, man.
Yeah, well, actually, even before that, for me, I mean, it brings me back to like 1988, 89.
Yeah.
I mean, when I remember like Diodora, like that was, it went through a period where it's like everyone had Diodoras.
Yep, Diodoras. Everybody was wearing Avrex jackets. Yeah, man.
That's just.
I remember those times, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of these Diodoras, I mean, I'm looking at them now. They're not cheap, man.
No, Diodoras are not cheap too. They'll range from a little over 100 to over 200. You know.
Yeah, I've seen some for like 290 right now.
Yeah. They're not cheap, man.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is
the sneaker game is not for the light, man. I'm telling you.
No, it's definitely not. B.
You would spend thousands of dollars in a month time if you bought a couple pairs.
Yeah. No, you know, it's interesting. I just bought because I'm coaching basketball again this year. B. I bought a pair of LeBrons.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, man, those shoes are so comfortable, man.
Yeah.
So comfortable. You know, but then I got my son the Giannis?
Giannis? Yeah.
Yeah, and he loves him. He loves them. And a couple kids got like the old school Jordans on his team. I'm like, yes. Oh man, yeah. It's dangerous, B. Yeah, I'm looking at the Diodora site right now. I'm like, which one do I buy?
Yeah, they got all the colors, man. Whatever you want to match, Diodora got it for you. They got massive collabs. They collab with a lot of different companies throughout the country. Foot Patrol, Undefeated. Just massive places, you know what I mean, that they have collaborations with. They'll release some exclusive pairs that they'll run you about $300. So, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm looking at these 2030s that are nice, but they're like about $290.
Yeah, BRAP, you need to hold up, man, because you gotta buy a 40. You gotta buy a 4090 Q1 of 2023.
We're not doing that again. No, no more 4090s for me. I'm skipping the 40 series. Gonna skip the 40 series. So, but yeah. But yeah, B Money. Look, man, I want to wish you and yours a happy holidays as well, man. Thank you again, man.
Yeah, anytime. You as well. You know what I mean, as well to the rest of the panel and the fellas here. Sad that we missed Slow Mo this week, but he's got some stuff to take care of. So
yep.
Shout out to my guy. It's been a great year. I know I missed a lot of shows, but real life going on. Stuff going on with my kids and sports and wrestling and football and band and all the real life stuff that you have.
I hear you, man.
Kids try to grow up and they get involved and stuff. You know what I mean? So. I definitely want to be here as often as I can, and continue to have great success with the show. So,
yeah, no doubt. Thank you, man.
Yeah, sure.
No doubt. Yeah, big shout out to Slomo, by the way. I don't know if he's listening. We miss Slomo. Big shout out to Eric Jackson, by the way, who left the show earlier this year after being with us for about 7 years. So, big shout out to EJ as well, who's still in the BRAP DM. We got to get him back on again as a guest soon. So, also want to give a big shout out to Mr. Gaming Forte. Forte, again, want to wish you and yours a happy holidays, man. And thank you again, Forte. Appreciate you as well, man.
Yeah, man. It's been a wild time, man. I've been here on BRAP. It feels like going on 4 years at this point, and maybe 5. I don't know.
I think it's 5 now, man.
Yeah, I think it's 5 now. Yeah, but it's been a ride, man, and people come, people go, but the cast and the characters always stay the same. We're all still all in the DM and stuff together, even though I don't really talk as much as there because I be just looking to see what people are talking about. It's just good to know that, like-minded people can always agree to disagree on a bunch of stuff, but we can always come together and have these great conversations on this podcast with all the wonderful listeners and viewers that we have. BRAP, as always, man, I really appreciate everything you do for me, what you do for shouting out our show and everything too, and just the friend that you have become over the course of the years. And
thank you, man.
Same thing for B Money, Hemp, which I still don't understand how the heck you let Slow Mo change your name, but it's cool. I actually like it. I like it more now.
He's the Hemp CMO, Chief Marketing Officer.
Yeah, he's the Chief Marketing Officer. Yeah, you just went with it. But it's just been a good ride, and just means that 2023 is going to be even more fruitful for us, and even more growth in the future. And as always with David, great to see you. First time being on here with you, and nice to meet you. You have a good holiday too, and I appreciate everybody else in the chat. For myself, Forte everywhere, YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation. Check us out on DPS Podcast tomorrow on the Homie Slow-Mo's channel, 9 p.m. Going to be a great time. And make sure you go shout that man out on Twitter and tell him happy New Year and happy Christmas too. You guys have a good week.
Yeah, no, thank you for today. Please make sure to check out DPS Podcast tomorrow night on the Slow-Mo Backslaps channel on YouTube. So 9 p.m. Eastern time again tomorrow. So definitely check it out. Always a great show. And then we got Hamp, the newest member who joined us towards the latter part of this year officially. Hamp, man, again, want to wish you and yours a happy holidays and thank you again, man. Appreciate glad to have you on, man, and appreciate your time as always, man. Thank you.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. I know me joining the cast has been disruptive to some people who were used to certain things, and I apologize for that. But change is good for everyone as we go through life. So I know that the show has a slightly different tilt with me coming in and swapping out with EJ. But hopefully the people who are interested will stick with it, and for those who needed to find something different, then I hope they found what they were looking for.
You bring an amazing point of view to the show. Those people don't know what the heck they're talking about. This show's always been about conversation and debate, and I think you do that in spades, sir.
I appreciate it. I don't want to discount. People go to work and they work hard, and then they come home and they watch podcasts, and certain people need certain things, and maybe we're not fulfilling that the same now as we were before. But like I said, I think change is overall healthy for everyone.
Yeah. Well, we've always wanted the show was never going to be platform centric. I remember when I started the show, I remember B telling me, like I think you said to me, B, like if you go Xbox, you can't go back or something like that. But yeah,
it's hard when you pigeonhole yourself, from one platform to another.
Man.
Yeah, man. It's just easier to, look at it as in a broad perspective, the entire industry rather than, trying to wave your flag from one side or the other.
Easy to own them all, man. Own them all and play the ones that give you what you want.
Yep. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, yeah. And that's what BRAP, that's kind of what the foundation of BRAP was. We're not a PlayStation podcast. We're not an Xbox podcast. We're a gaming podcast, and we're going to talk about video games. We're talk about the industry, talk about different platforms. All of us here are multi-plat owners, and so we're going to give you that perspective, and we're going to do our best to have informative conversations, and and give you a different perspective than some of the other stuff that's out there right now. So, but go ahead.
No. I was going to say, well, I might as well, since you said something. B, being one of my closest brethren when it comes to these sports games out here, you do realize that we're just over about 8 to 9 months away from getting college football back.
Remember, man, I can't wait.
Oh, bro, do you know how much pressure is about to be on that game right
Yeah,
It's
I think the game's got a lot of eyes on it.
It's about to be so unfair how much pressure NCAA football gonna have on it, bro.
it is.
It's gonna be
It's gonna have a lot
unfair.
of pressure.
It's gonna
But
have
I'm telling
pressure,
you,
bro.
if
'Cause
they
I can't-
deliver,
oh my god.
it's about to change the game, bro.
Oh
If
my
they deliver,
god.
it's about to change the game.
Listen, I was talking to somebody at work about it the other day. He's like, yeah, I can't wait for that college football. He said, do you even play football still? I was like, no. I stopped playing Madden years ago because the reason I would play is to import my character from college, and then I would take that character over there, and then I would play the Madden experience with my character from college, and that disappeared in 2014.
Yep.
Oh man, it's about I especially now with signing day and everything today, you know,
like everything they could do with it is, oh my god, bro.
Oh my god, yeah, they can pay players now, so you can actually have, instead of having to get the codes to put them in, you know, the locker codes and stuff, you could just have their names in the game. It's gonna be great.
Oh man.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
long as they have Kurt Herbstreit still announcing.
Yeah,
Long as they still have, you know,
Gotta have Kurt.
The crazy atmosphere of like a college football. Oh my god, bro.
Oh man, that game could be phenomenal. And I was just thinking about that when I saw you. I was like, man, I know he feel like I feel. College football, it's going to be so. The expectations is going to be so high.
Yeah, man. I can't wait though. Can't wait.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see the return of college football. It's going to be exciting. So,
yeah, you know, a lot of the conversation this year has been, you know, Microsoft and Activision, and you know what's Sony going to do, and you know what some of these companies are going to do next year. You know, EA has been out of a lot of the conversation. Not a great year for Battlefield, you know, but as they go into next year, you know, they've acquired Codemasters. You know, people standing up, you know, rah-rahing on that soundbite from the, you know, WRC, you know, developer. You know, that developer lost the license for WRC. That license is going to Codemasters. You know, NCAA football coming back, the next Jedi Survivor sequel coming into place. I mean, we could very well be on this podcast talking about a lot of kind of resurgence of EA next year. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, what they've got coming.
yeah, yep,
You see what Ham just said?
yeah.
You remember I said that at the beginning of the generation, right? How like all the big major third-party publishers, all of them were fumbling the bag except EA.
I remember you saying
was the
that.
only one that was actually, you know, starting to turn their boat around and actually put a good product out. And even with the Battlefield thing, yes, it's not a great game, but the fact that they put Vince Zampella, his team now in charge of Battlefield, lets me know that the next iteration of Battlefield is going to be on point. And of what they've done with the updates for Battlefield since, you know, Vince has taken over, have been on point. You know what I mean? They've taken the game in the right direction. So I called this out early in the generation. You know what I mean? I notated that EA was the only one I felt like, as far as like the big publishers, who is actually starting to understand that they need to double down on what they do best. And I feel like, to me, that they're the only ones that are who understood that and are actually, you know, going to start seeing the fruits of that labor. So, what Hamp said,
Have a look at.
I think he just hit the nail on the head, because EA and then the rest of this generation, I think, is really about to, you know, put their stamp on this industry of, you know, being able to produce high quality games.
Yeah, no,
If you look at what the private division's doing as their smaller independent over at EA, that's got some pretty cool stuff coming as well. So they're not mucking around.
I mean, I keep talking about Strauss like coming in and taking over from Phil. Like, I mean, there's a probably good argument that, you know, maybe Microsoft should try and get Zampella to come over and take over Microsoft games.
Yeah. Either one of those guys would be a solid fit for what Microsoft needs to do. You know, Strauss is my guy. You know, I'm a big 2K guy. I've been a big Strauss guy for a very long time. You know what I mean? I love everything that they got going over there. Their roadmap of content that they have rolling out, looks like that's going to be top tier content as well. You know what I mean? They're kind of getting away from, kind of letting Rockstar, have these long production cycles, where it takes them forever to release games. 2K Games is actually going to start putting out games. The new game from Ken Levine, that Judas game, that game looks amazing. You know what I mean? They let him leave Irrational Games and go start a new studio. And then, they're still doing BioShock, so that should be announced, sometime in 2023. So 2K Games is going to start, carving out a little niche and won't be known for just a big sports game every year. So I like what they're doing too, but I think EA is just, they have a little bit more of a foothold of the industry because they have, just a vast variety of titles that they can kind of leverage going forward. And 2K is maybe a few steps behind them, but I really like what they're doing as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, gentlemen. All right, well, look, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the show. But again, everyone, thank you so much in the live chat. Really appreciate everyone stopping by, hanging out with us. We really do appreciate. There's quite a few regulars that pop in here every day or every week, I should say. So thank you again to those individuals. But again, thank you to the others that hung out with us tonight. Maybe this is your first time, or maybe you pop in and out on occasion when we podcast on a Wednesday. But thank you again. Please hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe, hit the bell notification so you're alerted when we go live. And again, everyone, have a safe and happy holidays. Again, not sure if we're gonna do a show next week. May do a rant, but give me a follow on BRAP_podcast. That way, you're up to date when we with like show notifications and things like that. So, all right, we will catch you next time. Then we're out. Thank you.